Well, I guess we're tentatively this game's main characters. Hello, Sharky.
Hey, Cass.
Welcome, one and all. Welcome to the Bad Game Hall of Fame. Welcome to Virtual Insanity, Episode 3. This is the show in which we play Virtual Boy games as part of an ongoing Virtual Boy retrospective. This is the third go-around. And with any luck at all, this will end with a fourth episode, wherein we get around to not just the last of the Virtual Boy games that officially released, but have a prototypes and homebrew episode planned for the fourth one. But that is not this one. I'm talking in the future tense. I should be talking in the present tense, where tonight's lineup of games represents some of the highest highs and potentially the lowest lows. At least what people seem to consider the lowest low, which I will take issue with, which I will debate people, argue with people about if I hear any mess about my favorite Virtual Boy game. That's right, SD Gundam Dimension War. Nah, I'm just kidding. Virtual Lab. We're playing Virtual Lab tonight. I'm looking forward to playing Megumi-tan's Virtual Lab. Oh, and I guess there's some Wario Land game or something, and maybe like some Lovecraft first-person shooter. But whatever, those can go to the side over here. Are you excited for tonight's episode, Sharky?
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to getting back to this one. It's been a bit.
Yeah, we took a week off. I had to be away, and so we stalled it off for a week. But we're here now. We're here in the here and now, ready to play some Nightmares in Red and Black. There was this old horror documentary, a documentary about the history of horror films, narrated by James Coburn, and I think it was called Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue. If I have the title corresponding to the correct documentary, it wasn't particularly good. I just think about the phrase Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue fairly infrequently.
Yeah, weird how that comes up these days.
We're living in it, buddy. Speaking of my buddy, Sharky, as folk well know by now, as has been established across the entirety of this year, Red, White, and Blue, this is our world-famous segment, really the linchpin of the whole show, the whole operation, the whole country, some might say, and we need it now more than ever. It's Sharky's Stream Snack.
All right, tonight's stream snack is garden, spelled wrong, ultimate plant-based chicken, spelled wrong, tenders.
Okay, how?
Okay, Gardein
Okay,
for
yep.
garden.
That's wrong.
And chicken doesn't have the E in it. So it's chick''N because I don't think legally you can call them chicken tenders if they are the ultimate plant-based life form.
And you can't call it legally a garden if it was not grown in a garden, but was instead grown in some sort of science lab type place. Now, garden salsa sun chips, those are just all natural. Those are just plucked straight from the ground into the bag, into the crinkly, crinkly bag.
So I'm continuing the trend of doing virtual meat for the Virtual Insanity streams. These taste like the Burger King chicken fries, but worse. Like, I will have a Burger King chicken fry. I do not pretend that actually tastes like chicken. This takes that approach and just makes it feel even more off. I think the only way I'm going to get through these, and this is my dinner, so I have a big plate of these. I'm just going to cook these all up at once.
That's why I say that Mutant 1988 in chat says it's more appetizing than calling them fungal chunks. I don't know. I think fungal chunks would be a banger snack, like a bagged snack.
Okay,
Mom,
I think they're like soy and
chunks.
cheese, though. So I don't think they're fungus. Still, like, this is my dinner. I have a lot of these, so I think the only way I'm going to get these down is with some ranch on the side here. So I'm going to have to try and stomach these over the next couple of minutes as I finish them off. And our drink tonight. Now, I've been going very heavy on the red drinks, given the Virtual Boy. But the thing is, that's not going to help me with 3D, because we're not doing, actual Virtual Boy stuff. Our best approximation of 3D is using red-blue stereoscopic and having our red-blue glasses. You did remember at home to bring your red-blue glasses, right? But, so I think I'd balance off the red with a Ghost Energy Blue Raspberry. This is a new flavor, I think, because it says new on the can. And it looks like they're going for like a slushy kind of thing too, because just based off the photo they got there. So let us open that up, give that a quick taste. I'm sure you're going to say what you're having.
Yeah, I got myself more of those Monster Energy juices in the Voodoo Grape varietal. I was thinking get another red drink, but no, fuck it. I just want... This is better than the Ultraviolet. I will say that, you know, Ultraviolet is my long-standing Monster Energy of choice, but this really is better. It's just a better concoction. It's more grape forward, and you know, even with the noxious ad copy that's written on it, I don't remember when we last read it off. It was in one of our programs. Even that aside, it is a great can of drink.
Now, this tastes extremely sour. This is very, very sour. In fact, I would not be surprised if they took the blue Sour Patch Kids ghost flavor, then took off the Sour Patch thing and said blue raspberry, new. And we're like, that's it, our new flavor. I think they might have lost the license to Sour Patch Kids. I'm starting to get that hunch. So, it's still good. I like their Sour Patch Kids flavor, and this is just that. By the way, thank you for the raid, Arbitrary Water. Yeah, it's all right, but very, very sour. That's an interesting mix with this fake chicken and ranch. It is a good thing I have water off to the side as well, because I'm having very confused taste buds tonight. And let us bring that confusion into the show as we bring an end to Sharky Stream Snack.
Very good. Oh, I'm pressing the button to end the segment, but it's
No, it doesn't end.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I had to be inside the window. That's a new change I'm discovering in the latest OBS update, is that my Stream Deck keys don't work unless I'm inside the window.
I am not updating OBS until I'm back from break. I don't want to fucking deal with this until I have like a month or two off.
Yeah, can't blame you, because it's already driving me up the wall. Driving me to the main stage, where we will begin tonight's festivities with the most exciting, action-packed game for the Virtual Boy. It's the one you've all been waiting for. High-octane action, thrill a minute. Your eyes, if you got them inside your Virtual Boy visor, get ready for them to be fucking blown out the back of your skull. Virtual Fishing!
Yeah!
By way of Locomotive Corporation, and published by Packin' Video. Japan exclusive release. Correctly,
yes, Japan exclusive release, and on the virtual console, or not virtual console, Nintendo Switch Online Virtual Boy lineup, this is also a Japan exclusive release. They did not see fit to port this to Americans. They figured this is too complex, there's too much lost culturally, you would need all the background that you could have to understand fishing, so no fishing for Americans.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, is it unfortunate? I guess we'll determine whether it's unfortunate or not that we were spared this. I will mention that we are playing with an English translation. I believe the credits are inside of the ROM when we boot it up. I will also mention that Packin' Video, sort of a sleeper, like, banger publisher of games, they did all the Rambo games across the MSX and the NES Rambo that folk are familiar with. They put out Die Hard on the NES, which I still contend to this day is a bit of a banger, and some number of other games. But those are the ones that matter to me, personally. Oh, I guess in this game. Oh, they also did Sega Saturn pinball game, the one that has like the weird visual novel mode in it.
Oh, yeah, we played that.
Pinball Graffiti.
Thank you. Yes, I knew Graffiti something.
So they're a very eclectic publisher, and this might be like the most like low-key, just boring concept release that in their library. They probably had some other fishing games too, if I had to hazard a guess. I'm not even going to look at their catalog, and I'm going to guess that they had other
me to you.
Virtual Boy, not Virtual Boy games, but fishing games of the digital variety. Thank you, Frank, for resubscribing. Thank you for returning from vacation, returning to us, the sweet embrace of the Bad Game Hall of Fame. You've read your instruction and precaution booklets?
Yep. Gotta do that automatic pause. All right. I don't think I've ever had you on while I did a fishing thing on this show. So, what's your thoughts on fishing games?
Needless, boring, tiresome.
Okay, well, what about some of the more exciting ones, like a Sega whatever fishing,
I mean, how exciting can you make fishing, really?
You got a guy yelling, you got some cool music in it.
I guess that's something. I don't know. I'm not like anti-fishing. I just say
that was going to be the next question.
Yeah, just go out and fish.
Yeah, so that was my next question, which was
no, delete.
Your thoughts on fishing?
I've only been a few times in my life, but it's meditative, one might say. It gives you a lot of time, a lot of idle time, idle hands.
I think you'd hate that.
No, it's fine in the real world. I just don't. If I'm going home, if I'm at home and like simulating stuff, I want it to be exciting.
Well, I used to go fishing a lot. I used to really love fishing. At a certain point, I just got a bit too empathetic with the fish, and I was like, I'm done.
Before we begin, here are the rules.
Fish. Good luck.
Time limit, 8 minutes. Somehow I don't think we're going to see through the whole 8 minutes on this one. Rankings based on total length of all catches, so cumulative. Goal for victory? About 320 centimeters. Give or take. Not an exact science to this. Competition format. Good luck. Do your worst.
That's about 10.5 feet worth of fish. I think my crowning achievement of fishing might have been like 8 or 9, and I managed to solo catch a... God, I want to say it was this big, and I'm holding my arms out. I want to say it was like close to a 2-foot-long albino catfish. Like, that was a cool catch.
They can be some mean motherfuckers, those catfish.
Oh, last time I went... You know what's fucking mean to fish, right?
Hold on.
And
I pressed the wrong button.
In all my fishing, I've never fished these on purpose, but fucking alligator gars are the meanest ass fish.
I'm just gonna troubleshoot
they'll just
until
fuck up your...
So I got one on the reel. I need to figure out what the button is for actually bringing it in, because the R button cancels my cast, draws it back, and I ran out of line. Let's hope I can get another one. Okay. Huh? This is going to be a problem. This is problematic out the gate.
I found the instruction book.
It's in Japanese. Yeah, that is the problem, is that we couldn't even consult this.
Nope, I have an English one here.
Okay, there we go. I had the timing wrong. It had to be at the very end of...
I'm going to assume this is like a machine translation that someone like pasted over the images.
It's going to be one of those figure out the nuance of it kind of games. Dial it in, trial and error.
Oh, you're getting it. Yeah, it's A to reel in, and then R is to hook the fish when it bites.
Only losers quit. I wasn't quitting.
What button did you press to do that?
That was just me failing to reel it in again. Okay.
All right, let me...
Fuck! Okay, I need how to actually reel in fish. This is the only information that matters to me.
Right, so it's A, and it says, by using the A button, you can successfully tire out and catch a fish by both pulling and releasing the lure. If you pull the fish too forcibly, it'll come off the lure and swim away.
There's like an incredibly specific, maybe even frame-perfect timing on when I need to press the R button. And I'm not finding it. I'm not finding that tempo.
Let's see. This probably doesn't help. It's just the instruction guide says, when the fishing rod bends, press R trigger.
Ah! It wasn't bent enough. It wasn't bent enough. Yeah, it's only when it's at the maximum, and it's there for a fraction of a second.
I guess the idea is that you're trying to make sure it's a full bite and not a nibble.
Maybe I only want to pull on them when they're...
Yeah, if he starts fighting, then stop. Start pulling... Okay. There you go.
Thank God. Doing worse than usual.
This is my first time. What are you talking about?
Thanks for the words of encouragement, Carmen Sandiego. You bitch. We're never going to make it 320 centimeters this way. This is...
Well, maybe you can catch the secret hidden fish in the manual here. They have illustrations of every fish in the game. And I will say there are cartoony drawings.
I lost.
Oops.
But I thought it was supposed to be... Oh, that's an update. That's an update on the competition.
Anyway, there's a hidden secret fish who is only drawn in silhouette in beady eyes. That is 150 centimeters up to.
The arowana.
This is the fish of dreams.
The fish that dreams are made of. I think these just are competitors, not talking about us and how we're doing, but talking about how they are doing to give us an idea of the competition.
Yep, it says here, during a tournament, you may receive monologues from other competitors. They say things as they please, so don't get fooled by them and believe in your own fishing.
Believe in your fishing.
Trust in the strength of your fishing.
I don't trust this fucking line that we're fishing with right now, I'll tell you that much for free.
So, the last time I was fishing adjacent was I was hanging out with some friends.
No! I'm cheating.
I was hanging out with some friends at a...
We're never gonna get through these stories, Starkey. Just except we're never gonna get through these stories because I am fuming playing this.
Then I'm gonna barrel through this story instead of like stop for Anyway, last time I went fishing, adjacent was I didn't want to fish. I was at a friend's house, and she lives like with a river in her backyard. So I was out there, and they were fishing. I didn't want to fish. Like I said, I'm too empathetic at this point. I'm like, I don't want to hurt the fish. But she needed to get up and do something. She was like, I just want you to hold the rod, all right? And I'm like, sure. And then, like, as soon as she leaves, and I'm holding this rod, I feel a tugging. I got a bite. And I'm like, hell. Well, I'm not going to let this thing go. Like, as bad as I feel about this, I'm going to catch this fish. We've been sitting here all day and no one can catch anything. So I reel it in, and it flies out of the water, like, almost hits me and lands on the dock. And it's a crab. It is a crab that has taken its claw and grabbed onto that lure. It is on the dock now, and it hates me.
This is the worst fishing game I've ever played in my fucking life. It's the most minimal inputs with the least amount of effectiveness I have seen. I've played more than a couple of fishing games. This is the worst. This is the absolute dog worst, bottom of the barrel. This is absolutely unfucking playable. It tests your ability to not react reflexively in the way that you absolutely want to. And even if I cheat, it's still impossible. There's just not enough time. And the line has such a tendency to snap at the slightest bit of feedback. You could be doing perfect, and at the last second, just as at the surface of the water, they'll just snap the line there. And I know that reel fishing is not the easiest thing in the world, that, snapping lines is a part of the game. They stripped out any, semblance of, bait or any, the nuance of fishing here. So that is just the pure, unadulterated fishing experience. And they made that fishing experience really bad. Then they made this really dire to the point where, what should be just, a calm, relaxing game is driving me up the wall. I can feel my hair going gray.
Listen.
Snapped! Fucking snapped! I was a pixel away from having that fish. Let's cheat it.
Channel your inner Hank Hill. Go find some crack cocaine and put it on the bait.
Can I just do dynamite fishing instead? Unreal. Absolutely fucking unreal. What a mean game this is. Wow.
I don't think I get dynamite fishing Unless your goal isn't to catch fish, but to just remove fish from the gene pool. Well, I'm sure I'll find out for myself pretty soon what this fishing game's like.
Yeah, unbelievable. They're not even humoring me with, like, fish biting anymore. At this point, just like, nah, you blew it. We gave you so many chances. We gave you a dozen fish you could have caught. I'm about 200 points behind right now in the race, in the tournament. It looks like you're losing so much progress anytime you're not actively reeling it in. You are just like, I'm losing so much more than I would be standing to gain.
So what I realize is that the horizontal distance doesn't seem to matter. I think it's just vertical to the surface of the water. Because that fish was way horizontally further away than when you started. But as long as it touches the top of the water, you get it. I get the idea, though. I get the instinct that it feels like that you're losing a lot of progress. It's just that that's not actually what it's measuring.
You know, I was really expecting to come in calm, cool, and collected tonight, and this game immediately put me on the most sour note humanly imaginable. So I love it for that. It's great for that. You know, he's not turned around, so I shouldn't be reeling it in, even though they're just standing motionless in the water. That's a trap. It's a trick that the fish plays. Vicious little fish.
There you go. You're starting to get the hang of it, honestly.
I would have need to have caught 10. So let's just fast forward to where I lose the tournament. I'm not even gonna bother trying to catch another fish. Good job. Don't lie to me.
Everyone, she said.
So who are we? They did not establish which of these is us. I'm going to assume we're in the center. I'm sorry.
That one.
Keep doing your best and striving for victory. Yeah, I'm never playing this ever again, but I will do you a bad deal. Put on your 3D glasses now.
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and get that going.
And let me make sure your controls are set. Yeah, that was horrendous, like so many of these Virtual Boy games have been. For those of you who are joining this long-form program midway through, this is the midway point, this episode 3, we've not been impressed by the Virtual Boy and its library.
In general, no. That is true. Alright. I think I hit the back button, so...
Try a different screen, just to... Try that man-made lake on the left. Yeah. Okay, Nintendo
Which
A.
of these buttons... That wasn't even close to what I was... Okay.
Oh. You know, fuck it, go for it. Who cares?
Yeah, sure. Alright.
You fool.
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Just gotta get used to the timing. There we go.
So how's this parallax effect working in 3D for you?
I'm honestly kind of too focused on the fish. Which is, you know, that's going to be a thing, is that it obviously doesn't add much if I'm, like, kind of hyper-focused on, like, one thing on the screen. It's there, though. It exists. It's less impressive up here, where there's, like, nothing. I don't fight this one too hard. There we go. That's a 44.9 centimeter meter. I got stuck in a loop. Rainbow trout card.
I feel like the time pressure really got to me in the other one, too. Which, you know, most fishing games are, you know, of the tournament format are timed.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Am I not going to catch one on this one? There you go.
Johnny Baghead in chat, who also has the red-blue glasses at home, says, it looks kind of cool, but this really doesn't justify being 3D and on Virtual Boy. Oh, you don't say.
No, it does not.
Like, recurringly, almost, like, every game on the Virtual Boy, basically, does not belong on the Virtual Boy. Could have been, would have been, should have been on literally any other platform other than the Virtual Boy. It's almost as if the Virtual Boy had no reason to exist in the format that it released in. We get into in the history in the first episode of, why the Virtual Boy is as compromised as it is technologically, how it was a result of cheap components, the single color of LED, as well as using handheld hardware, handheld like chipsets and such, because of state of the market and so on and so forth. But ultimately what they resulted in, what they landed on, was just a system for no one.
This is, all right, I'll say, you were having a lot of problems like getting kind of used to it. This is completely playable. I think if I went into the tournament, I would do fine. I don't think we need to play a full 8-minute tournament again. So I'm going to counter that. I think this game is completely functional in terms of what it is. The problem is there is so little to it. Even, like, I'm comparing this to other fishing games, too. Because in a lot of fishing games, there's this element of, like, picking where you're going to go on the lake, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, this spot's kind of dried up. I should go somewhere else. Or it looks like the fish are biting over here.
Monitor the wind. Monitor environmental factors.
Yeah.
Think about what fish you want to catch.
Even in more simple ones, though, there is that element of, like, I'm going to go somewhere else right now, or I'm going to make some sort of decision. Like, what sort of bait do I want to use, right?
Yeah, the most basic thing they could do is ask you what bait you want to use.
And this is just... unless there was something I was missing in that tournament mode. Let me go jump into tournament mode real quick, actually. And how do I back out?
Switch
lures. Okay, there's something. There's something there.
You have 2 lures.
Okay, sure. Alright, well, there's that at least, even though it's very small. Go ahead and turn 3D off, by the way.
Yeah.
I just want to see if there's anything more to tournament here in terms of what I can do, because that was free fish. So maybe there's something different there, but...
Not this one. Not this one.
No, this is still a tournament.
Yep, I just didn't want to do the same exact tournament. Let's see a different one.
Okay. Eight minutes. Time limit, 30 seconds. We started late today, and we need to get out of here because they're going to have a judo contest in this creek.
The guy who owns the lake says we can't stay up too late.
Okay. So no, there is no changing where you are. You just cast into this one spot.
You can cast to the left, right, or center.
But it didn't seem like there was any sort of, like, indication on there of, like, fish are here.
Oh, absolutely
right?
not. Yeah, there's none of that. It's not a factor.
So it really is, like, the problem with this isn't that it's too hard, it's that it's too simple.
It's too simple, but I also think the controls are... I know you're doing fine, but for me, it was lacking. For me, it was just ultra punishing if you're trying to do things in any sort of expedient way.
Well, that's the problem, is that you're trying to go too fast. Even though there is a timer, that is a mental trap to try and go too fast. See, this, like, again, I am more into, like, slower stuff. So this is, like, I am mentally prepared for this.
I think what I need is a meter on screen that tells me what the strength of my line is. So I know, like, how close I can cut it. Like, some on-screen indications of, like, pressure being applied and what my strength is, my tensile strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not that hard to feel it out, but if you really wanted to play this in such a way that you're really, like, putting yourself up to the wire at all times, you could do that. But again, I feel like to that end, you might like a Sega bass fishing a little bit more because that is a little bit more. I said because that would be something where like you have more meters, you have more choices. And
I mean, that's just that's literally doing the bare minimum in my mind.
Granted, I did say more than this. I don't think I'm going to catch a fish on this one.
Nope. Also, I need to be done with this. I need to be done with this game. Sure. I don't want to look at this ever again in my life.
Oh, I fucked up. All right. I think that was perfunctory, but severely lacking. That's my take on it.
Definitely didn't need to be on Virtual Boy. Definitely didn't need to come out on anything, in my mind. That was virtual fishing. Good start. All right. Now we've gotten the exciting one out of the way. Let's do something, just boring, just throwaway. Who cares? Is this going to be some, fucking meandering, whatever. Let's simulate something really dull. Like, I mean, who among us hasn't cleared out a House of Demons? I mean, it's just, if you're going to simulate something that we do every day, then, put some exciting spin on it. That's all I'm asking. So I guess we'll play Innsmouth no Yakata. Ooh. This is Innsmouth no Yakata. It's spelled in the box as Innsmouse, but it's meant to be Innsmouth, like, H.P. Lovecraft. This was developed by Bebop and published by IMAX in and around October of 1995. I should also mention that Virtual Fishing was October 1995. I did forget to say that. This is the Virtual Boy's first-person shooter, the one that actually released. There's one that didn't release. We'll get to that one in the 4th episode. This is, Mutant 1988 asks, is fish the theme? Yeah, fish people famous in H.P. Lovecraft, so I guess, it could be. I think this is mostly about the monsters in this one.
Now, Japan exclusive is being released on the North American Nintendo Switch Online service.
I wonder if they'll translate it.
I'm not sure. I doubt it, but this one makes it to America. The fishing one, no. Too complex, I guess.
I will say there was a time a while ago, and I don't know if Bob Anator in chat has the link handy, where I did a podcast about this one for Hardcore Gaming 101's podcast. Did an episode alongside Slow Beef, friend of the show, appeared on the show before. Check out our playthrough of The Immortal. And I said nice things about this game. And we'll probably say some more nice things about it here. I'll fetch a link to that podcast appearance, because I actually do have it handy. While I let this cinematic intro play out.
You know what? So I'm not talking on my ass. I'm going to look up, because this was a launch release for North American Switch stuff. So I'll see if anyone's recorded it on YouTube, and I can tell you if it's translated.
I'm going to have to remember how to play this one. Because, Virtual Boy controller. A strange thing. There's new game and there is password. I don't think many games had a cartridge save, battery save. That Virtual Fishing did. Virtual Fishing sprung for on-cartridge save data, but not Innsmouth no Yakata. It's grid-based. And every level is actually secretly under a time limit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our shoots.
Secretly, I see at the top of the screen.
Right D-pad to aim. There's the map.
Unless there's text I'm missing, I think this Nintendo Switch Online version is translated, actually.
Out of ammo. Oh, wait, no, I had one magazine in reserve. There we go. So, yeah, there's a time limit on top of the screen, but also, if it gets to the point where it's flashing, you've already failed the mission. Which is to say that there are paths for every level in the game. Like, there's an A path and a B path that ultimately determines your ending, and there are multiple endings to this game. So we're already on the bad path, as it were, because I went the wrong direction, because I had the misfortune to go backwards instead of forwards.
Are you playing a translated ROM right now?
No, this is just, there's English in the game. Actually, you know what? That first mission didn't matter. Okay, good. I did waste ammo, though, more than I would have liked to. All right, key.
All right, maybe it isn't translated then. I don't know where the text would be that would be untranslated, unless it's like just the ending. So I don't know.
Down to my last bullet. I'm hoping for a reload. All right, the orb will show you the full map, the white orb, that is. And the black orb will show you the location of items on the map. Guess I'm going around because, jeez Louise. You know what? I think I'm dead meat. I'll eat a death on this one. Password, road. Mutant 1988 says white. Okay, good point. Red.
Okay, yeah.
All right, this is. I just restarted, so we're back to the first level.
Okay, so I'm assuming that. Well, maybe I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming that one D-pad is move and one D-pad is aimed at cursor.
Yes, right D-pad aims the cursor. Also, is this a randomly generated level? Or, like, pulled from a pool, at the very least? Yep. Alright, so I went the wrong way again. Now, I don't love this grid style of first-person shooter in the best of days. Especially when the color palette is such that I can't tell when I'm going in the right direction or not, or when I've been turned around completely. So it definitely has that working against it, but at least you have, at the very least, you have the map. So I can tell where I've been, where I need to go, etc., etc.
Activate complex says aim with D-pad. Ouch, thanks for playing this so we don't have to. Well, I mean, what were you going to do back then, right? As part of this? Like, the dual D-pad system. I mean, okay, first of all, I understand that aiming with a D-pad still doesn't sound like a great idea. Like, it to some people might sound painful. But, I still think the dual D-pad idea of the Virtual Boy was an interesting concept and could have worked really well for games of this nature. For a lot of games, it could have been benefited from being like real early twin stick, essentially. Like personally, I remember playing Smash TV as a kid on a NES with two controllers plugged in, and aiming my shots with my Player 2 controller and moving with my my Player 1 controller. So that's just something that could work. And this doesn't seem like it's doing it that bad, all things considered.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
It's at least ambitious. I'm assuming that's the exit door. I wonder if I can just exit the stage at this point. Let's just kill this guy, because I don't want to be bothered by him.
Activated complex also what I said with, oh, I understand, and people used to get teeth pulled without anesthesia. What are you going to do back then? So I will counter with... you said it's the top, thanks for playing this so we don't have to. I still generally encourage, even with bad games, even with games that, like, suck.
Let me cheat.
I still encourage people to go out and try stuff for themselves, because you do get some idea from watching us or watching other people play stuff, but I do think it is an entirely different experience.
There's just no winning
to
that
see it for yourself, to see like exactly how it doesn't work, because there's nuance that cannot come across just from hearing someone talk about it. But also, I have had people tell me like, "Oh, this game like sucks. This is awful," and then I will touch it myself and I'll be like, oh wait, I think I get something. Like, even if I thought it looked awful, once I have hands on, I'm like, oh wait, I get this now. Or I see something that I didn't see before. So I do generally encourage, when we play bad games, for people still to go out and like try it themselves. Even if we say, this is awful. Like, a lot of times I will tell people, I played this game, this sucks, you should play it.
That's ostensibly the mission statement of what we do here. I think I've been slacking on it more than I possibly should as of late, but I've also been like in not the best headspace as of late, truth be told. But yeah, you should, I mean, if you have the Virtual Boy service, if you've already been suckered, if we couldn't save you, and you're stuck with the paying for the Virtual Boy online, This is probably like the most like video game for the system.
Maybe, you know,
There's
some others that I think also fall in that vein. But yes, this is probably one of the standout Virtual Boy titles for what it tried to do and for what it actually does manage to accomplish. Luis PSC says, is aiming with the D-pad similar as aiming with face buttons in a PSP game, I wonder? Yeah, that's pretty analogous. You know, it's obviously going to feel different on the hands just because of how a D-pad is compared to like the individual buttons of of face buttons. But that's a good analogy if you want to know what it feels like.
Man, we are really stuck on that bad ending path. I know there's the element of the time limit, and I know there's some other element that I'm not privy to that also determines how, like, getting onto like the higher paths, getting out of like, you know, this trap that we find ourselves stuck in right now.
So I will say that being stuck on the bad ending path is the true Lovecraft experience. So really, you're doing the most accurate playthrough of this.
That's true. I'm sure it's also more recourse as far as like actually escaping from fights, defending yourself. I guess, you know, the solution is turn around, run away, and so on and so forth. What am I doing wrong? Look up what I'm doing wrong. Look up, how do you... Because I know I knew this at a point in time when I talked about this on the Hard Gaming 101 podcast, but I have since let that memory lapse.
What's the full name of this game proper?
Innsmouth no Yakata.
Okay.
Pocket password. Luckily, it remembers the password that I just gave you, so you can use it as a de facto, just continue. And it'll even reset how many bullets you have, and bring your health back to 3, so it might even be recommended to take the death restart, unless that's somehow a contributing factor to the good or bad path.
Yeah, I used to know more about how this game functions, but... Okay, let's see. I think... Okay. Very unuseful guide I have found. But it does seem to be time. You truly have to haul ass if you want to get on good paths. Like,
yeah, once the music changes, I think you're screwed.
Yes. So, like, on level 2, you have to beat the level in 30 seconds. Like, what level did you just do?
I'm on, like, level 6 right now. And we're on... Yeah, very bad pace. Just engaging in the gunplay alone is enough to, like... Basically, like, any fight is going to take you, like, at least, like, 10 seconds. So it's just avoiding those completely, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. And in those situations... Okay, look, I think I may have accidentally...
No, you see how the path is?
Yeah, I know that was one,
anyway.
No choice on that one.
Now, this is not a very good guide because most of the times here are just like question mark, question mark, question mark. So person who made the guide couldn't figure it out. Also, is it randomly generating?
I don't think it's random so much as it is like there's predetermined ones, and it pulls from a pool of them. I wish there were ways to stun the enemies when you shoot them. Like, no, this shot will buy you like a couple seconds, and you can even make the enemies more mobile if that was the trade-off.
Like a weak point shot?
Yeah. Fuck.
Okay,
Brutal.
I'm not so sure. It's hard to tell if this guy... I'm not so sure that this is actually pulling from a pool. I think it is set. Because...
I mean, the first stage, we got 2 different first stages of the game.
See, that's what's confusing. That's what's confusing me, because some of these levels, a lot of these levels, like, the password actually has to do with the shape of the level. Like, there's one level where the password for it is body, and the map is literally like a body. There's a level... this is funny. Level 7B, the password is jazz, and the entire level is shaped like a saxophone. They got silly. They got a little silly with it.
How do I get out of this room? That part's frustrating, where you're trying to get out of a room and you can't tell where you're facing. I get that's meant to be disorienting to some extent. I guess that's part and parcel to the experience. But it also just, because literally every single room, every single screen looks exactly the same, because there are no landmarks or props or anything to, like, delineate. And no compass on screen to show you which direction you're facing. You just have to take it on faith to some extent. Yeah, it can definitely be frustrating to an extent that it is. I wouldn't blame most people for completely just bouncing off this and not giving it any sort of shake, because it is deeply frustrating.
But does it work in 3D?
Let's find out. And I was kind of hoping that we could just skip to a last level and show off one of the endings. So I'll look that up while you give this a go.
Yes. Okay.
You probably want to start a new game.
There it is.
Yeah, you need to just be constantly moving. R shoots, L reloads. You can only reload... Oh, well. The other thing is that the ammo economy in this is brutal. Absolutely, unequivocally fucking brutal. That if you miss one shot, your run's basically toast. That even if you don't miss shots, your run's basically toast the second you have the unfortunate, circumstance to run into an enemy.
Okay, yeah, I accidentally hit L while I was testing buttons. So do face buttons not do anything?
No.
Okay, you know what? This is the best 3D effect I've seen tonight. Is this screen right here? All right. Does ammo carry between?
Yes, unfortunately.
All right. So I mean, this run's screwed, but
that does appear to be the same stage. Okay. I think.
Go on.
That ooh man, Charky, that's rough. I heard you whiff those 2 shots. The problem is that you just get so little ammo to work with. And, usually I'm a fan of incredibly limited ammo. I love having to scrounge and scrap for every single bullet. But that usually happens in games where combat itself is kind of sort of optional. Or, like, a last resort. And usually it's against, like, human foes where one shot will kill your enemy. If you aim for the head and so on and so forth. But because enemies take at minimum 5 bullets in some cases in this game.
I gotta say, I really like the fact that I ran away from that one monster and, like, went down, like, a different path. And you could see it burst through the wall on the other end. Like, rubble flew through, so I just went the other way and escaped.
Yes, it is a cool effect.
Oh, God damn it.
Yes,
yeah, the aim. It is surprisingly hard to aim, even with this, with it being so slow, and your aiming being so deliberate.
So there are 4 endings to this game. 4 endings that can ultimately resolve in. I'm just looking at the endings. I was trying to find an ending that I recalled in this one. Ending C is fun. Ending B is kind of cool. Ending D is our joke ending.
I lose.
You were doing better than I did. That's that much is true. Do you want to try for the last level? I can tell you nothing changes. There's no like gameplay changes. It's just Okay.
Do you want to turn off 3D for this one?
Sure.
We've
also,
seen the 3D now.
Yeah. Did you notice the Illuminati symbol on this screen here?
Oh yes, now I do.
Let's go with dark. So we could have the chance to get the C ending or the D ending here. I'm probably just gonna,
go for it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it real quick. Yep, get that heart. Just run the periphery here. Oh, slightly different enemy, I guess. Ooh, they're a tricky little devil.
Yeah. You do this. I'll have the chicken tenders that should not be.
Fuck that, run away. By the way, the story of this game, by the way, is that we're a detective of some sort investigating a disturbance. If that matters at all for your appreciation of the ending.
Johnny, our secondary 3D experience reporter in the field, says, the 3D in this was the most convincing, with the crosshair being on the front layer and the enemies being in the middle, looked trippy to me in a bad way, like your cursor was stuck on the screen. Yeah, 3D didn't, like, add anything. This is perfectly fine being in 2D. This is perfectly perfunctory being in 2D. Like, the most impressive 3D thing really was just the menu. Johnny says enemy attacks look cool in 3D, though. And Frank Gothic says, fun enemy design.
Yeah, it'll hit up those Lovecraft highs. I don't know, I at least appreciate the fact this is like a real video game. This is not something that can be said for a lot of the games we have played in the pursuit of playing every Virtual Boy game. Where could this exit be?
Shitty mansion, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, this is one of those McMansions, I feel, that, you know, like, goes on the market for like $10 billion and then it gets flipped for like $1 million when no one else expresses any interest in it.
You ever see that Disney gated community that exists like on or semi on Disney property where they're all like McMansions more or less, and they have like Disney shit hidden all over the house, like in like the wrought iron you can see like Mickey heads and stuff, and it just I don't know, bad vibes. Celebration Florida, thank you. Activate the complex.
This is not true ending. Let's retry.
Truly a Lovecraftian ending.
Yeah, some of the other ones involve like you getting corrupted by the mansion. Others have you escaping with your life, throwing away your gun, and in triumph. I don't know. Like I can at least see like, you know, the want to replay this, to go to shoot for the better ending and so forth. At least
it does seem like the maps are the same, so you could learn the maps to the point where you do have the ability to just blast through them.
Yes. But even still, like, there's definitely, like, difficulty. I don't know, like, it's a fair amount of difficulty. It is balanced in a very particular way. They definitely had a vision and intentionality for this. I want to see this intro in 3D, by the way.
It did seem... Whoops, hold, let me get my glasses.
No, don't worry about it. You've seen this intro before. I just want this for the benefit of folk at home. It's the best game for Virtual Boy. Like, it's probably not even close. I guess it's a matter of perspective and in genre preference, but to me, this is like the most compelling thing on the Virtual Boy. The one that leverages the 3D most effectively, even if not super much. It has...
Honestly, go on. Sorry.
It has honest-to-God atmosphere. It has an auto-pause.
Yeah.
And, you know, it actually encourages replay. And, you know, it's not the longest game in the world. So, you know, it's about, like, you know, it would take you as long to get to this auto-pause screen as it would to get to an ending. I would assume. I would imagine. I'm sure I was more positive on it on that podcast appearance I made. But, you know, I didn't hate this. It definitely has points of pain and frustration, but...
I feel like I'm fairly positive on this. Like, I was doing a bad job, but also realizing that, like, except for that first level, which was just a straight line, seeing the places where I could go like, oh, I don't want to do this fight, I can run away, and then doing that running away, saying, oh, it just broke down the wall to come after me, and still being able to run away from it, though. Like, this isn't... I wouldn't call this survival horror, but it's getting there. It has the spirit.
Yeah, it has some of that je ne sais quoi, that joie de vivre. But, you know, also, you know, if we're being honest, it's a very mechanically limited game. In the same way that Virtual Fishing was. You know, for a first-person shooter. I mean, it covers the basics. Health and ammo. It would be nice to have like another gun, maybe. I would have liked to have seen the compass on screen would have definitely fucking helped. So you're not constantly bouncing back and forth between the map and like killing your momentum. Some sort of defensive item or something. Some means, I guess you could always like step backwards unless you're like back up against a wall, as you so often are. And you can engage enemies like from a screen or two away, is a part of the secret of it. But like so often you're going through a door, and pressing backwards doesn't just step you backwards, does it? I think it turns you around. Let me just check it real quick.
Yeah, I never even actually tried that.
This is just... Yeah, backwards does not let you step backwards. You would have to turn around, take a step back, and then... Yeah. Wait, hold on. Now
you might have been up against a wall.
Yeah.
I think you started with your back to a wall, and that's why it didn't work.
Yes. Okay.
It's just weird that you can see a whole bunch of ways in which this could be turned into a more like intricate, a more survival horror kind of thing. But as this game exists now, it's a time attack game.
Yeah.
Which I'm not bad, but like I could see going into this with an expectation of one thing, and then realizing that this is actually just a speed game.
Yeah, no, I'll grant it that. I mean, again, like, I'm nitpicking because it's, ultimately, at the end of the day, as nice as I can be about it, is it a good game? It's bordering on it. Could have come out on any other platform and it would have been just another game that I wouldn't have thought twice about, would not have lingered in the memory. But as far as Virtual Boy games go, it's in the upper echelon, which is
We're
more
on a scale.
It's a damning indictment of the Virtual Boy library, as this whole series has been. But again, I'm not too mad about that. Now, a game that I can't be objective about, a game that I'm not going to get anything out of, so I'm going to leave this one entirely to you. I've played this. I played enough of this to know what it is. But this is Virtual Boy Wario Land. This is the game that people point to as the banger killer app of the Virtual Boy because it is the closest to being like a real full-fledged video game, a Wario Land game for the Virtual Boy. We didn't get a Mario game outside of Mario Clash and Mario Tennis, but those really don't count. So this was the best you were going to get. Virtual Boy Wario Land, developed, published by Nintendo, November 27th, 1995. And I don't think this one moved a lot of units. I don't think any Virtual Boy game did, but I think this disappointed even Nintendo, even for their install base of Virtual Boys. And so I think this release and its failure to catch on, while this might be their best effort, their best foot forward, it is also probably a thing that ultimately killed the Virtual Boy. Its absolute like failure to generate any sort of hype or maybe that's just assumptions. Maybe they already made that determination. In fact, I'm pretty sure they probably already made that determination by the time they put this out. Now that I think about it, timeline-wise, because, they discontinued the Virtual Boy in Japan in late 1995, so it would have to be, like, very shortly after those releases, and maybe they didn't even have the market data in before they made that determination. This was just kind of, hey, it's done, put it out. Regardless, this is all just a very roundabout way of saying that, this game didn't save the Virtual Boy, but probably nothing would have. So, and it's a platformer, so I'm not going to care about it one way or the other. So again, I'm leaving this to you to play, to give some sort of verdict on.
Yeah, I like me some Wario Land games. I haven't played a lot of them. Most of the ones I played have been like the early ones. The very early ones.
Played Wario Land 2 on the Game Boy. To completion,
Same.
To several completions, because that's another multi-ending game, if I recall correctly.
Here he comes. I guess he's not coming back. I spoke too soon. Oh, there he goes.
Hey, in-game brightness style. This is something that a lot of Virtual Boy games could have potentially benefited from.
Let's turn that up a little. All right. Yeah, sure. It's hard to tell what's happening with the monochromatic thing.
With the lack of colors.
I see that we're taking a nap.
God, I wish that were May.
Then a Bidoof may have sprayed water on us. Again, hard to tell. Now, I know this game is very timed, and that's the whole point of it. Probably to get you to stop looking at the screen and, like, damaging or making your eyes too superpowered, if we're going with Gunpei's explanation.
Yeah, for those who weren't there for the first episode, Gunpei Yokoi, Nintendo legend and champion of this console coming out, also believed in his autobiography, made the claim that the Virtual Boy was good for your eyes, far from being bad for them.
We gotta get our stolen treasure back. I have to assume that we stole this. Alright, body slam. Now, is it just me, or is it pretty silent? No music. Pretty threadbare there.
There is occasionally music in this. I think they're opening without it. There we go.
There you go.
Mutant 1988 in chat says, okay, I was curious if there's an NES game that was close to matching Innsmouth mechanically and perspective-wise. I think the NES game Platoon and its first-person sections exceed Innsmouth. You know, you can say that about several games. Golgo 13 on the NES with its first-person mazes, and then later Mayfac Conspiracy, you know, squeak with the Golgo 13. Yeah, several games did the grid-based first-person thing. I would argue the ones on NES... You know, several of them, not to speak for all of them at once, because I'm sure some were better and some were worse. But, yeah, some were better than Innsmouth, and some were probably worse than Innsmouth. I don't recall Platoon being particularly good. And I will also say that those ones, those NES ones in particular, really got off on being mazes. At least Innsmouth had the decency to give you the in-game map, and to not be too long in the fucking tooth.
Yeah.
In their stage-based... variety.
3D.
Yeah, so this is the big gimmick of this game. This is why this game had to be on the Virtual Boy, because you shift between the foreground and the background in this game.
You wouldn't be able to tell what was happening if you were looking at this in 2D.
Go through that door. Yep, go through that door.
Oh, a key. I want a key.
Because I believe this is where the mini games live, or treasures. Yep.
All right, goodbye.
Mutant 1988 points out that Platoon had an on-screen map at all times. Good for Platoon. I think the parts where you have to play that as a... I don't believe the forest sections of that game have a maze, if memory serves. Which is where most of the game takes place. Bye-bye, Wario. Okay, so
and Wario has lives in this one. Yeah, I couldn't get my
And
jump
back
out.
to the beginning.
Yeah.
No checkpointing. There are checkpoints between levels, but... They're gonna make you do this
I will say that
again.
This one does have lives and straight up dying, which is not something a lot of the Wario games.
No, it certainly didn't. Like, you know,
point.
I remember that Wario Land on Game Boy, you can't die in it. You can get powered down, you can get, like, you know, lose progress, but you can't... You can lose your accumulated riches, but, you know, Wario is invincible.
Which, when I was a kid, and I was reading magazines, and I saw, like, talking about, you know, Wario Land in there, and they would say, like, oh, you can't die in this game, you know, that's just, like, part of the game, and that was, like, novel. And as a kid who didn't know much better at all, I was like, well, that's dumb, like, it's not a video game, you can't die, like, that... And I really thought, like, Wario Land was not a real video game because you couldn't die in it. And I know better now. Get out of here. Damn it. Alright. I do like... You don't see it that much anymore, but I do like powered down little punk Wario.
I mean, we're seeing it here.
I think last time I saw him was like in one of the the Wii WarioWare game, which honestly, like, that's where Wario picked up his stride, right? Was WarioWare.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
was his true calling.
Also, for the record, because I don't get to talk about games I like very often, or, there's very few games I like, ultimately. WarioWare games, objectively, dope as fuck. Just, WarioWare has been...
Could you rewind me?
Yeah, sure. I should rewind you before you lost your damn health, honestly. Oh, well, you might get
this will be a health
here, hopefully.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah, WarioWare games fucking rule, and that's where Wario belongs. He doesn't need to try to do these platformers ever again.
I liked Wario World.
I hated Wario World.
I really like that one.
On GameCube, I think you meant to say, by the way, not Game Boy.
GameCube, sorry, yeah. And I didn't play Shake It, but I did want to. But yeah, the WarioWare game's great. Okay, which game do I want?
You want to probably spend hearts.
I'm not going to play this. Oh. Well. Anyway, I'm not going to play this truly optimally, which is to say going for treasures and shit. Which is how you're supposed to do this. I'm just going to play it for the sake of playing it. 3D. Give me that.
I wonder, do another level.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll switch to 3D at the end of the next level for the mini games, and then the level after that. How about that?
Sure.
Show off a slice of 3D here. Also, Slime in chat says, an old friend talked to me back in the day about watching a Wario World speedrun where the dude was talking about his divorce proceedings during it. That sounds about right. That sounds like the person who would speedrun Wario games would also be speedrunning their divorce in the background of it.
What is this?
Game of chance.
Remind me so I can see what a victory looks like. Also, so I have enough gold to, bet on the next one. There we go. I'm good.
And, yeah. Can you knock his ass out?
No.
There's a... Speaking of speedrun stuff, there's a... they gave you the cat even though you died. They let you keep the cat?
Yes. Yeah.
That's nice of them. There's a video of someone speedrunning Red Steel on the Wii. They're doing a camcorder LP, or a camcorder speedrun of it. It's a single level. I think it's the fish market level. And at a point during their recording, like their brother or some family member walks past the TV, and you can hear them have a shouting match while the kid continues to play the game. So that was a very fun find. It was like some 20 view video that I found, just looking up Red Steel clips at a point in time. And I've had that one saved to a playlist for a minute.
What is that? Dead. That's what it is. This is... fine? The problem is that I've played the other, I've played the other Wario Land games, and they're better and more involved.
Like, in particular, that Wario Land on the Game Boy that has the multiple routes through it. The one where if you linger at the start of the game while Wario is sleeping, it'll take you to a completely different path, like a completely different series of levels with, like, dream logic and stuff, if I recall correctly. Like, those games were cooking. Those games were trying their damnedest to not just be Mario. That was always the thing about these early Wario games, is that it was Nintendo recognizing that, okay, we've standardized the platformer, let's unstandardize it now, or let's do something within this framework, within this genre framework, that is markedly different. That was what Wario existed to do. It existed to let them experiment with ideas that would have been too heady for Mario fans, that would have deviated too much from the formula that Mario fans were looking for. And, that's why Wario was ultimately the perfect choice for getting his being the platformer star for Nintendo on this console, because this is an experimental console. They would have been more successful. The Virtual Boy would have been more successful. It would have made more sense from a marketing sense to put out a fucking Mario platformer on this new Nintendo console to legitimize it in some capacity that it just never was, ultimately. But in terms of, like, Wario being their experimental character, it makes perfect sense that he's the one who got this game.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it is still more risk-averse than Wario should be. Magic Mouse is pointing out that this was before Wario Land 2 by a couple years. I forgot how late Wario Land 2 was. So I guess Wario Land 1 would have been the precedent for this.
All right. That does change my opinion a little bit, if only because, like, I can't expect them to be drawing on a game that didn't exist yet.
Even still, I would say that Wario Land Original was still doing some stuff that was markedly different from Mario. And I guess that is, like, you know, what you're seeing here. I guess those, those are the hooks. Yeah. Now, all that being said...
I think this is, like, fine. But that's kind of, like, the most I can muster, right? This is fine.
All of that being said, did this game need to come out for the Virtual Boy? No. Did this foreground background thing, which we'll see it in 3D in a little bit, I'm sure, and we'll see, like, you know, how it aids and adds to it. But ultimately, you could have fucking done this on anything. You could have just had smaller sprites that operate in the background. You could have had multi-planal gameplay in any other number of ways. As far as platformers go, this is exceedingly basic.
Huh, some of these also break. This also does seem like something, again, where you're going to have to haul ass if you want to get to the proper ending, because we started with like 20 minutes. I'm on level 2 of what seemed like a lot.
I think doesn't every stage just have 20 minutes?
Maybe it does. Maybe I was misreading that. Let's see what's in here.
Probably another treasure. Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
If it's a hidden door, it's a treasure room.
Yeah, I figure it'd either be this one or it would be like whatever it's back there. Which I'm not going to bother with back there.
Technological points out that Sonic CD had this gameplay gimmick too. Did it have foreground background? I don't think it did. I think they went on to say, was it Sonic Mania? I think that was Sonic Mania you're thinking of.
Yeah, Sonic CD's whole thing was like the
time travel
past stuff. Yeah. I think they did do some weird stuff with, you know, sprite or whatever, but I don't think this is one of those things.
Johnny Baghead says this would have been better with colors. Legit, you could say that about any Virtual Boy game. Literally any of them.
All right,
Slime says... Yeah, I'm going to turn on the 3D. Can you read what Slime said? In the meantime?
Well, Slime in 3D, I have my glasses on, says... Nintendo would later learn several lessons from this console and really innovate in how 3D could affect gameplay for 3DS.
I believe they're being facetious there, because not many 3DS games really leverage the 3D past a certain point, especially not when they put out the 2DS and like acquiesced that the 3D component of the 3DS was a feature that not many developers were bothering to utilize, that they'd effectively given up on it in the same way that, you know, most, like, past a certain point, most DS games were using the bottom screen just for HUD stuff and not doing, like, touchscreen interface stuff. And, you know, almost no one bothered using the microphone.
I think DS truly was, like, more, like, it did find more, like, actual use for the 3D. Like, more interesting and more, like, impactful use of 3D. Like, Super Mario 3D Land, for example. Like, that had good 3D, that had parts of it that, yeah, you actually used the 3D to, interact with the games or to see things in the games that you would not be able to see in 2D.
I want you to make it a stage 4 because it's a boss fight, because this game does have boss fights. Also, underwater level.
Kind of seem like a rock with this, but alright. I did see
Slime
that this game had
says-
underwater levels.
Slime says Super Mario 3D Land did have those like 3 rooms that needed 3D. Yeah.
There were more than that.
I'm also going to say, because I see Johnny in chat saying, I don't get much 3D from this. Mario Clash did it better. I'm looking at this, and you know, as folk probably know, I'm stereo blind, as I'm sure I've mentioned during this playthrough and plenty of our other programs. But I can tell what the 3D effects are from the coloration. I understand 3D enough as an abstract to be like, if something is purely purple in this color scheme, that means that it is flat. That means that it is the middle ground. And then the separation of red and blue denotes things that would actually pop or sync in 3D. And it seems like all of the gameplay, all of the parts that are like played, so your enemies, your blocks, all this is operating in the middle ground space. And you know,
the 3D is very like subtle, if anything. It's like not really getting in the way of gameplay at all. It's not really like, which is also to say that it's not really adding anything to gameplay.
No, not at all.
I would say in that one minigame I was doing, because that was, I really wanted to see how that one was going to do, because that is kind of like adjacent to Mario Clash. And yeah, that added 0. In fact, that was barely noticeable.
I also have to address Activating Complex in chat, who says NES games in 3D SEN with 3D effects might be interesting. There was a Casual Monday episode we did a while back. Check out our Patreon for the Casual Monday archives backlog, and the episode wherein we played 3D SEN, 3D Sen, which I found to be one of the worst gimmicky pieces of software ever that actively ruined every game, that introduced variables that made them unplayable in most cases, even the popular games that had bespoke 3D effects designed for them were all made worse by that awful gimmicky 3D rotate around perspective.
Now the 3DS classics on 3DS, those are pretty good.
Except for
Some of them
Urban
were pretty
Fight,
good.
Urban Champion, which is just pointless. Hey, this seems like a bad water level, by the way.
Not a great one. Granted, I'm not a fan of water levels in general.
No one is.
I've seen people who are, though. I've seen people who actually
What, Michael Phelps?
I've mentioned this guy before, but Simple Flips is actually a liker of Mario water levels, like in Super Mario Maker and stuff. And he fully admits that at first he only liked water levels to be a complete contrarian, because everyone hates water levels. So he was like, you know what? I actually like water levels. And didn't think anything of it other than like saying like fuck you to anyone else who said something different. But he eventually came to actually like water levels and truly live the bit.
Stockholm Syndrome. Water levels are the sewer levels of platformers.
I mean, sewers are water. Also, the sewer levels are the sewer levels of platformers, kind of.
I think you're gonna have to do another stage in 3D, like an actual traditional platformer stage as well, just to, because this is probably the worst stage to showcase in 3D because there's just nothing to it.
Oh, the start of this level was in. No, wait, I did the previous level in.
No, you didn't.
Didn't I?
Nope, we did the mini games. We very specifically.
I could have sworn I. Okay,
No.
never mind. That's me. Yeah, that's. I lost track of things in my head.
By the way, the timer did reset. You have 17 minutes on the clock, which means you started this level
Okay.
at 20. So.
All right, good. I don't know what. For some reason, I thought I had like a solid 20 for the whole game. That's way more manageable.
Although these spheres rotating in 3D, and by that I mean they're not, because I can see the color separation and it's barely anything. They're barely utilizing the 3D. They're mostly using the dimming effect.
Yeah.
They are mostly just relying on like core like palette coloration to demonstrate like depth here.
That's the only thing that's coming across is dimming. I'm not getting any 3D out of that. Truly, I need the key still.
Oh, that's not good. That's gonna cost us.
I wonder if it's like.
No, I don't think it is. I think you have to backtrack. Unless, okay. Hopefully. Can you butt stomp on each of these, or is it easier to go underwater and?
Actually, it would be easier to butt stomp since they come up the top. I wonder if I can nail 2 at once like this. Nope.
No, Mario games never let you do that. That'd be too convenient.
Some of them do. But they'd be later ones than this. Granted, Mario didn't even butt stomp for, like, the longest time.
And not until Wario tossed him out to throw it back.
Where?
Oh, well, this is gonna be your
I found
treasure room. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's something. Alright, where's the key? Alright, that's not gonna break for me.
It had to have been in just one of the previous underwater sections.
Can I dash now that I have this underwater? No.
You went up.
So I went up there, right?
Yes, you thoroughly explored that.
Alright.
This degree of backtrack. Try those blocks. Try those blocks. Try those. Okay.
I don't think they're ever in a block. No. I'll save that. I don't...
I wonder if there was... Okay, there's this left room here, which I don't think you did.
Yeah.
And then I know there was also, like, a... Oh,
there
there's
it
a
is.
key in a block.
Alright, it is in a block.
Oh, is that enemy in the background actually...
That's background.
That's just purely background. Oh, now it's in the foreground. It's popping in and out.
But again, that is being done of dimming. That is not...
Not using the 3D effects effectively, yeah. Man, I would take the flame thing for the boss fight. Presuming that the flame thing will be more useful in the course of a boss fight.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
You know? It could be a thing.
Nope, nope,
Great.
nope, nope, nope.
I'll just go back down. If they want me to have a, you know, charge power up for the boss fight, they'll give me a charge power up for the boss fight. I kind of assumed that they wanted me to have, though, because the last thing before I left, you know, was the power up right there, because the door is, like, right here. Can you
dash in this game, by the way, beyond just the arm charge thing, beyond just, like, you know, lariating people?
No, it's the dash is your, or the charge is your dash. Alright, boss. I think.
We'll see if this effectively utilizes. Tell me this is the whole fight.
No.
Tell me there is no second phase to this. Oh, that wasn't even the boss. This is the boss.
It would have actually been very funny if that was the boss that we fought.
I guess your power-up don't matter now.
Maybe the breath thing would have been useful there. Again, this is utilizing 3D in the sense that it is going in and out of the foreground. Fuck. But it's not I don't think it's making it easier. I would have to like do this, turn off 3D actually, and I'll do that boss without 3D.
Great.
Also, it may make it slightly easier on the eyes to do it out of 3D.
I do like the little cinematic effect they do with the curtains, the black curtains.
It's sort of going more widescreen. Damn. And you completely can't dash if you're little.
Which just seems like a recipe for disaster. It seems like the next phase will like fuck you up when he returns to the background and starts casting again. Let me give this a shot.
Yeah, you go for it. Platformer wizard.
I'm not bad at platformers. I just don't think they're any good at all. Okay. Ooh, brutal.
Maybe now I can finally finish off this fake chicken.
Oh, man. You know what? Hold on. I just wanted to test something real quick. Okay, so I need to jump that up, but then it's behind him. Okay. Automatic pause. Okay, I mostly got it. Let me just see how to do...
Can you rewind all the way back to when we had the fire thing? And maybe that'll...
I mean, it should be doable without it. It's also going to take so long to rewind there. So just deal with it. I think the secret here is to not rely on jumps during the in and out, just to be using the charge, the arm charge, for as long as we have it. Wait for the attacks to start.
Yeah, but now you gotta do this next part and not get hit. So I got it the first time. Yeah, you need to jump on him.
Yeah, let me just see this. Yeah, you can jump over the... Okay, you can jump over the ball.
Okay.
It doesn't go high enough on the screen that it intersects you in midair. Yeah, without the dash, this would suck absolute ass.
Wait, Felchamp says shoulder buttons let you run.
Damn, I bet you wish you had known that.
Yeah, that would have been helpful.
Which, you know.
That's on us.
You know, it's also on Nintendo for establishing very clearly in Mario mechanics, codifying the idea of, you know, your attack button also being... Fuck, it sucks not having the arm dash. Playing as little Wario sucks absolute ass. It's such an active detriment to your gameplay that... Huh?
He was still charging the thing.
I just want this done, so I'm just cheating my way through this. Rule of threes, dead, cool, great. Yep. Yeah, but it's on Nintendo for codifying that, you know, the attack button is also your run button in all the Mario
but
games.
It's also
it's not
on
Mario
us for not having a manual. And it's not Mario either. All right, so there is proper run.
Alright, you can take over. Now that I've refreshed myself on the controls and determined that they're, you know, it's a game. It plays like a Wario. Which means I am singularly unimpressed and unenthused to play any more of it.
I don't need to do any mini games.
No, you don't, but we do need to set it back to 3D.
Oh,
because I want to see an actual real stage in 3D. Not one of those shitty swimming levels in 3D. I want to see popping in and out of the foreground in 3D as intended. And then we can be done with this. Having determined, I think at this point, I think we both agree that this did not need to be on Virtual Boy. That this is...
No, but this is fine. And if I'm grading this on a scale of Virtual Boy games, and this is still probably one of the better ones.
Sure, just in terms of of content on offering. Even I have to be like, it's a real video game, and the Virtual Boy was in short supply of those. So these enemies that are popping out of the background,
yes,
were they utilizing the 3D effect effectively, or were they just doing dimming?
I could just tell from context clues of it was smaller and it is larger and brighter now.
Which is ultimately all you fucking need. is ultimately all it takes to determine whether something's in the foreground or background or not. You can infer with context clues. It's almost as if the core conceit of this system, that having 3D effects to delineate foreground and background, as seen in this, as seen in Mario Clash.
God, I will say that in what you call it,
Mario Clash?
No. What? God, what was the Vertical Force? The shmup that we played.
Yeah.
That was actually, I think that was the best use, like, in terms of gameplay mechanics. I think that was, like, the most effective use of 3D. Where that was a thing where playing it in 3D did actually have a mechanical difference. And be like, okay, this is, like, more readable like this. This is, like, I can better intuit depth than I would if it was just dimming and sprite scaling.
Sure. But that being said, there are other shmups, vertical and horizontal and otherwise, that just that have the multiple planes that you can inhabit, you know, vertical up and down, you know, layers or whatnot, that do just fine.
I'm sure they do fine, but I think in Vertical Force it actually was like, oh, this feels markedly different, and in a way that I liked. Markedly, you know what word I was trying to say.
Yeah, markedly. Wow, this game already seems tedious. I'm going to say at this stage in particular, it's good that they changed the environment up, but it seems like these stages, these forest stages, might be a bit more longer, maybe a little bit more complex in terms of like what you're doing in the foreground, background, to an extent that I don't particularly care for.
I like this. This is getting interesting now.
Like,
again, interesting in a way that it didn't need to be on the Virtual Boy, but this is... I don't know, I'm not getting tedious out of this.
How are you going to get back now?
Get that.
Oh, you could still fly? You still have
Dragon one has that.
Well, now you don't. So what are you going to do now?
Yeah, now I don't. But didn't need it. That must have been how I get the treasure in this level.
Well, that won't be happening. I don't know, like, you know, I don't like platformers on the best of days.
Yeah.
But that being said, if I am forced at gunpoint to play a platformer, I'd rather be straightforward and linear and focus on either the horizontal plane or the vertical. Either have it be a climber or have it be just like a traditional 2D Mario Bros. Style platformer.
Well, I am fine with this. This is fine. And I don't need every like, we have different tastes. Like that is the easiest way to put it, is we have different tastes in video games. And this is a more complicated platformer is fine.
Now, agree with me on this. These background elements, you thought you were landing on something there. You thought that shit in the background...
I mean, I could have determined that from remembering earlier that was there, or like walking ahead and seeing that was there. That was a blind jump that was like a bad idea on my part. That was also a jump that was a bad idea on my part.
And back to the beginning of the level.
Yeah, but I have the key.
You do have the key, so there's that.
So if the exit is back here, which I don't know yet, but if the exit is back here, then I'm actually not in a terrible spot. Plus, now I can get this as soon as I... Oh, I think... Okay, so this dragon cannot fly. Either I picked up that dragon earlier and that was a different dragon that could fly,
or you combine,
or having the eagle and dragon combines in such a way. Yeah.
I don't think we need to see any more of this, though. I know you have the key that you're...
that's fine.
I think we've got
end it here.
All we're going to get out of Virtual Boy Wario Land, which is to say that, you know, I'm sure if you like platformers, this is fine, but it also seems like probably not as good as just Wario Land on the Game Boy.
Yeah,
certainly not as good as Wario Land 2.
I would take Wario Land on the Game Boy, just because, in Wario Land 2 on the Game Boy, etc., because I think they do more interesting things. This did come out apparently before
Wario Land 2. Yep.
Right. So, but still, Yeah, I've done better. And yeah, it does look like those two items combine into a new item. All right, this is fine. This is something I would play in general, but we can stop here.
Very good. All right. Now, we've established I don't like platformers. I don't know if that's come across yet. I'll repeat it 100 more times in the next month or so. Maybe in the next just 2 hours or so, I'll repeat it 100 more times. But a genre of game that I also don't usually like is just shmup. I also don't particularly care for shmups. But there is an exception to that rule. I like fixed shooters. I like basic shmups, which is to say your likes of Galaga, Galaxian, et al. And of course, all of that is owed to a little game by the name of Space Invaders, which arguably kicked off the shmup genre, arguably kicked off arcade gaming, arguably kicked off us having a video game industry that persists to this day, is largely on the back of the success of a little game by the name of Space Invaders. So why not bring Space Invaders to the Virtual Boy in Space Invaders Virtual Collection, a December 1995 release by way of Taito. Japan exclusive. Because, you know, Space Invaders fever really broke through over there. I mean, definitely broke through. Definitely there was people going to arcades in North America to play Space Invaders as well. But really, Japan is where the Space Frenzy, not to be confused with the Space Invaders ripoff Space Frenzy. But anyway, yeah, they put Space Invaders on a Virtual Boy. That's the long short of it. That's what we're getting into here, is that we're going to play some damn Space Invaders. And I will play the Space Invaders at first, because I am known to enjoy.
I want to turn 3D off at the top.
Yeah, another Japan exclusive.
Now, did you know that 3D, not 3D, did you know that Space Invaders in arcade was so popular that the 100 yen coin completely vanished? There were no more coins, because it turns out that when you put it in the machine, it just fell into a hole in the center of the earth. And that's how the Japanese economic bubble collapsed.
As I'm to understand it, yes. It is a joke. I've corrected Charky before, or corrected the record before in general.
Yeah,
on,
not necessarily me, but
the yen shortage myth around Space Invaders. It's largely untrue. It's largely revisionist history, folks. If you've heard that long-standing rumor. Let me dial this volume in. This game is markedly
Also,
louder.
I'm going to be right back. So you have fun with Space Invaders.
All right, we have a challenge mode, the original 2D and virtual 3D. Let's start with original 2D. Just oh, they have part 2 in. So you can choose between Space Invaders and Space Invaders Part 2. Let's just do traditional-ass classic Space Invaders for starters. Just to get a baseline here, why don't we? Traditional scoring. You want to be able to. I think it's important that that players out there learn how to beat the first stage of Donkey Kong without dying, and to beat the first screen of Space Invaders without dying. These are easy goals that most players are incapable of, that most people who play Space Invaders or Donkey Kong in the arcades, unless they know what they're getting into, unless they are like practiced players, but most players will die on the first screen of these games in an arcade. So I feel like it's, at a certain point, it behooved me to get decent enough at Space Invaders to not just die out the gate here. And, you know, this is a game that you mostly play. The secret to it is that you're not looking at your ship. You just need to know reflexively where your ship is at the bottom of the screen. You just need to always be looking at the top of the screen to see where the enemies are, to be on the lookout for the UFO, which I didn't bother dealing with there. But yeah, to see the line that projectiles travel down the screen. And I imagine the Virtual Boy and its limited peripheral vision, the fact that it really dials you into this, might well help with forcing your vision into such a modality. This feels like traditional Space Invaders logic. Ooh, I biffed that. This feels like it's probably straight Z80 code intact of what compromised composed the routines of the original Space Invaders. I'm curious to see if the 3D version or the challenge mode will retain this game logic. There we go. Yeah, you can see the fire rate's increasing.
To that end, I do want you to play some of those modes, just so you can better assess the game logic. You would have a better grasp, I think, on how regular-ass Space Invaders plays.
I'm just gonna wait for it to get close. Oh, never mind. Got lucky. Okay, that's Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Now, how do I back out? How do I reset? How do they
the end
let
of that
me?
sour blue raspberry coast, and man, don't chug a real sour drink. That's a bad idea.
I'm pressing every single button on the Virtual Boy. No way to quickly quit. No way to say, take me back to the main menu. A persistent problem across so many of these shitty Virtual Boy games. So I'll just reset the console. Would it have been so fucking hard on the pause menus of these games to have a return to menu? Johnny, you did this last episode where you said A, B, L, R, start, and or select. No, not every game has it. Some developers just did not give a fuck. Just assumed, no, just hard reset it.
Looking at the manual that's been translated for Space Invaders, it says press start, select, left trigger, right trigger buttons, all press simultaneously during the game. The game is reset.
I tried that. I swear to God I tried that. Let's try Virtual 3D.
So I'll be right back again.
Great. Okay, I see we have a background here. And we have perspective. You know what? Even though I can't see it, I'm just going to turn this on. Awful. Okay, that's my immediate read on this. Not being able to see in 3D. Maybe this will be great with the red and blue glasses on. But this is just a bad perspective. This doesn't aid playing Space Invaders to have this element of it. The only thing I could see is that it minimizes the amount of space you have to account for in your perspective. You know, I was talking about, you know, having to stare at the top of the screen, but because of this perspective, everything is now closer to center, so you can theoretically see your ship and what lies ahead both at the same time. But also, it wasn't really a problem that needed solving in the original game. In fact, it actually screwed me up there because trying to track the depth of these projectiles as they come towards you, not just having that clear linear space, that clear vertical space that you just know, like, okay, this is distance from top to bottom, having to try and parse it as pseudo 3D seems like an active detriment, especially when all of your shots are going towards a focal point. That means that every one of your shots is just inherently canted at an angle because of the way 3D works. And I couldn't even tell how close these things were. Ooh, and that just put me in an unwinnable situation, as a matter of fact. Ooh. Okay, now LR start select worked, but only on that screen, only from that fucking menu there. Let me try Virtual 3D with Space Invaders Part 2. A different background. Part 2, the aliens return. It's Space Invaders Part 2. It's more of the same. I'm trying to remember the differences here. I'm not an expert on Space Invaders by any means, outside of like its historical and business impact. That's the secret. I know a lot about a lot of old games, but I don't know everything about the mechanics of them. I know the parts that matter, which are the business thing. The business end of them, to me, is what's actually interesting about these archaic old games, in most cases. I need to turn this 3D off because I'm going cross-eyed looking at it. And let's just rely on, oh my god.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Okay, what's awful about this? The background is way too fucking dense.
Yes.
With the limited color palette, they are trying to use 3 colors. They're using everything except the brightest shades, which just makes it so fucking dense in the background. They need to just use the last 2 colors of the color palette. They need to just use black in the dimmest color. I see that they were trying to draw more complex backgrounds here that sort of, quote-unquote, necessitate the use of a 3rd color in it. But, no.
Yeah, that's not good.
And again, I think this perspective is just awful for Space Invaders. I don't think this adds anything. It's like the 3D Zen effect that we mentioned earlier of needlessly adding like the ability to rotate a 3D camera in NES games, is that it just overcomplicates some that was already like perfect as it was. That was designed in a very specific way.
You know what would make Space Invaders in this perspective like work though? Is if instead of a ship, we were a kid with a gun, and instead of space, we were in an alleyway.
Yeah. There's no way I get this. There's no fucking shot. Okay, well, there we go.
There you go. Yeah, chat. Magic Mouse says, this is way too hard to rely on the shots. I was not here for the 3D bits, but we have some people in the crowd who have the glasses. Johnny says, this is bad. Paul S. says, I have 3 glasses. The front sprites are all right, but the backgrounds are a mess. Now, we are getting a different 3D. As we've said in every episode, we're getting a different type of 3D since we're using stereoscopics. The way that the Virtual Boy itself does 3D is straight up different and would be more cohesive. But I think you still get an idea of kind of how 3D would be implemented like this.
Of the depth trickery that they're attempting to pull off. I'm trying to remember, if I shoot the UFO, do I get like a life back? Do I get a second ship? No, I'm thinking of Galaga. I'm thinking of Galaga when you deliberately like forfeit a ship so you can have the dual ship.
Right.
Oh my god.
Is this what part 2 was just having a background?
No.
In general, no?
No, there's some mechanical change. I think there's some scoring differences, and there might be some slightly different enemy timing and routines.
All right. Is there anything we haven't looked at yet
Challenge
that
mode.
I could play? Okay.
Time attack, score attack.
You're poison, I guess. All right, I'll take time attack.
And they're going to force you to do the 3D perspective.
All right. Oh, okay. Took a little bit. Okay, well, this is a fool's errand. You start.
This is objectively awful.
Yeah, this is not a good way to play this. You were right about how it angles shots and how that is more confusing than it's worth. Like, the good thing about Space Invaders, like, the reason it works is because it is so simple. Like, you do have to lead your shots, but you shoot in one direction, and that is where the shots could go. You have immediacy in terms of knowing where
the travel time and trajectory of your shots. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the core of the game. If this were like a toggle, if instead of having it delineated and broken up into 2 different, like 3 different gameplay modes, technically, I guess, between the challenge mode 3D and 2D classic, if it was like a button you pressed, and there's no shortage of buttons on the Virtual Boy, they could have applied to this.
Like that modern graphics button in fucking Halo re-releases.
Because then you could decide mid-game to be like, actually, the 3D perspective sucks. Actually, I hate this, but I have a pretty good score going, so let me switch back to the real mode, the classic mode. Let me switch back to a mode that doesn't suck. But as it stands, you're trapped in this. And if you want to do the challenge mode stuff, if you want to do it based on time, and they only give you the 1 life.
Yep.
Hey, they snuck the credits in. T. Nishikado, who went on to found Dreams. Let's see what score attack is. I bet it's 1 life, but you have all the time in the world to score.
Press the wrong button. Okay. But yes, you're probably right. It's just... Oh, no, it's on this screen.
Yeah, it's on the Part 2 3D screen.
Sucks.
Yeah, it's awful.
That's Space Invaders.
Yeah, and they made Space Invaders worse. It's great that they have the original mode in, so you can just play a version of Space Invaders and a version of Space Invaders Part 2. I'm sure those are fine. I'm sure the game logic is intact in whatever capacity it needs to be. You know, I'm sure the game logic being applied here, I'm sure some programmer is really proud of the fact that despite this perspective, it is still operating on the original game code or the original timing. I'm sure it's like matches it in terms of gameplay, but just the perspective ruins it. Oh, that enemy split into two.
Yes.
This is similar to Nintendo's Space Invaders ripoff called Space Fever, and they put out a Space Fever Part 2 High Splitter, wherein the gimmick is they were double-wide enemies, and depending on whether you shot them in the center or on their left or right side, they would split apart into two enemies or be immediately done with.
Also, not one life, multiple lives.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what the score attack of it was, but okay. Or score at if it's not selected.
Okay. Yeah, so that was awful. That was just completely pointless. Is that one of the worst things we've played so far? It's certainly one of the most unnecessary.
No. Unnecessary? Perhaps. Worst? No.
So, speaking of worst, we move on now to what is widely regarded to be the worst game in the Virtual Boy library. This is the one that when people ask, did the Virtual Boy have any bad games? Foolishly they ask, not realizing they're all bad. The one that always comes up routinely is Virtual Lab, a 1995 December 8th release by way of developer Nakoti and published by J-Wing. We are a biased source for this game because once upon a time, we wrote an article on the subject of this game, badgamehalloffame.com/virtuallab, where we gave it a fair shot, translated the manual, got into some of the history of the publisher and developer behind it, did as exhaustive a job as anyone had done previously covering the history of Virtual Lab. And then we got reached out to by the game's developer, a single-person team, this Nakoti, one Megumi-tan, who was kind enough to provide an interview with us, where they filled in some of the gaps, gave us some more of the backstory behind it. I somehow posted the same link twice because my copy-paste didn't work there. But basically just told us, it answered every burning question, revealed to us and consequently the world that the character in the game that you will see in the game bouncing boobily on the right-hand side was her own self-insert, that Megumi-tan is a trans woman who aspired to have a huge rack. These are mostly her words, paraphrased slightly, and so did put herself insert into the game, making this an early aspirational trans video game, trans representation in a video game. Just had such a productive conversation with them that we've been friends ever since. I will say that I wrote the original game, the original article, the one that was just like the review and history of it, before I had talked to Megumi-tan. And, you know, I already came away from it being like, this is not the worst Virtual Boy game, not by a country mile. And so I stand by that. But all that being said, yes, we are going to be biased going into this. So let that bias be known up front. And I will proceed to play in and explain in it as best I can. You know, I could go into the whole history. I could relitigate what's in those articles. I guess I will partially if you choose to play this for a bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll play this for a bit.
So basically, Nakoti, which was basically like a 2-3 person team that were hiring themselves out as like contractors, mostly to Hacker International, who are like prodigious eroge game distributors back in the day. So most of Megumi-tan's games prior to this were of the porno variety. Game speed out here, the setting for game speed is broken to where high is actually slower and low is actually higher because of a code error, which is just amusing. So before, one of their non-porno games that Megumi-tan had made was a game by the name of Chiki Chiki Labo, or was it Chiki Chiki Dengoku? It was a Chiki Chiki something on the Game Boy, which is this style of game. It's this style of puzzle game. In fact, there's a cameo from the protagonist, the angel characters from Chiki Chiki, whatever on the Game Boy, appear in this if you get a multi-line clear. So the way I'm to understand it is that they were developing their games, relying on contracts from Hacker International. Virtual Boy comes out. Nakoti orders a handful of Virtual Boy development kits, wanting to cash in to carve out a niche for themselves on the Virtual Boy. And shortly after receiving these units, Nintendo makes the decision, actually, fuck this Virtual Boy thing. And so the rush is suddenly on Megumi-tan, who is the sole programmer and artist behind this game, ultimately at this point, who learned the programming language and the know-how of how to develop a game for the Virtual Boy in like about the span of like a week, maybe a few days, and then had to develop this game in a week. And so the way that they did that efficiently was by carrying over some of the game logic from that Chiki Chiki game on the Game Boy and bringing it over to this as best they could in that incredibly short time frame. So that will explain the rushed nature of this, the threadbare nature of it, and we'll get to explain the mechanics in just a minute. I'll try to get this done as expediently as possible. So they managed to get it out before the deadline. They managed to get it out before Nintendo says no more releases. We're not manufacturing another goddamn cartridge for this piece of shit system that's already failed us. But they get it in under the finish line. J-Wing, for their part, the publisher at hand, who had games prior to and after this, they do a JRPG for the SNES that is like a high school JRPG, like almost like a sort of like Earthbound-esque JRPG that I'm very curious about. But that's a whole other story. They had slated like 5 games they wanted to develop for the Virtual Boy. There was a Space World event where they had like 5 games they announced simultaneously at the same time as one another. And this is the only one of those that materializes. And that is probably for the best, because the world did not need more Virtual Boy games, if we're being truthful here. But this one, yeah, goes on because of its rush nature. There are issues with the inputs here.
Yes.
As I'm sure Chucky will attest to, that there is like sliding and bad momentum and friction here that overcomplicates what is otherwise fundamentally like a very basic puzzle game, a very basic like Pipe Dreams-esque, fully like resolve these tubes here. There's a plot in the manual about there's a scientist who is doing experiments in the future city, and they find this species called the Mew, M-Y-U-U, who rapidly multiply, and the only way to get rid of them is to connect them to one another, is to connect all their orifices to create a closed loop, and that will pop them out of existence or send them back to their home planet or whatever the deal is. And so the protagonist of the game, this plot is unbeknownst to Megumi, who just makes the game. Here's her self-insert. This is Megumi as she sees herself on the right-hand side. Again, mentioned she wanted huge boobs. So she gave herself in the game huge boobs. There's one problem. The people writing the manual are not on the same page as Megumi. And so they write this character, this protagonist named Risa. Lisa, but, they write it like with an R because of the alphabet. You don't need me to explain that. And in the manual, they write her as being like 12 years old. And so Megumi said that when she discovered that they were trying to apply that character to the character that Megumi had made for herself in-game, she was horrified. So just let it be known that, the fact that this character on the right-hand side of the screen is, canonically meant to be a 12-year-old girl or whatever the fuck, Megumi had no part of. That was not by her design. It was an unfortunate sort of happenstance that it happened that way. But nonetheless, it's the reality we must now live with. And yeah, so this is an endless puzzler. Chucky's more or less got the hang of it here.
Yeah, pretty easy to grasp. And I like this concept. I like how it's it's not so strict that you have to make a perfect thing. Like if you can get a something to line up against the edge of the screen, that counts as a stopper piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta be honest, if there is a complaint with this game, it is the controls. Like you'll see right now, I'm trying to do single taps, not moving. Sometimes move, sometimes it'll double move. That is like the issue of this game, but it is still playable, and I still think the core mechanic is fun.
Yes. I'm struck by this being a totally fine concept for a puzzle game that is hampered by bad input because of the rushed nature of its implementation. Johnny asked, did the manual writers not actually see the game and character design? No, yeah, they were just completely independent. This is very common for manual writers of the era. People always point to, like, North American localized manuals for games that are Japanese in origin, you know, likes of your Metal Gear or what have you, where they're writing completely different plots. But like that also happened in Japan. That also happened like natively, where the story teams writing like, you know, just trying to fill a manual out with like some sort of synopsis or plot would be doing so completely independently of the people making the games. You should have an angel here who comes through,
Yep.
removes the bottommost row, because you got more than 10 objects cleared in a single clear here. And if you put that capper on, you'll move on to the next stage.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a fun puzzle game. You know, in reality, it is hampered by the some of the input issues, but wow, so not even close to the worst on the Virtual Boy. This is fine. This is another case, though. Like, to be fair,
I want to do a stage, by the way.
Yeah, go for it. As we have said for other games, did not need to be on the Virtual Boy.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
In no universe does this need to be a Virtual Boy game.
And we might put the 3D on just for completionist sake.
Yes, I fully intend to do that. But I also want to set up a monster combo.
But adds nothing, you know.
Let me just get rid of... You know what? Let's do this.
But I think the main thing I want to get across also... Oh, okay. I was wondering if you could do that. I was wondering if you could continue to rotate pieces after the first one hit on one of those...
Yes, you can. In fact, it is optimal.
Things.
Also, you can shuffle the positions of these pieces.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So there is more nuance to it then.
All right. Yeah, the main thing I want to get across, which I think is something that Cash really wanted to get across as well, and has said so, is like, yeah, this is like not at all the worst game on the Virtual Boy. Like, not one bit.
There is so much worse. In fact, there's a worse puzzle game. It's called 3D Tetris, which is an abomination, which is one of the worst things human hands have ever developed, in my opinion. That 3D Tetris, which we will get to next episode. I'm going to go with like a safe combo. I'm going to go with a safety combo here. And not do like the most maximum scoring thing in the universe. I'll leave that open.
I Am Headful says, I now wonder, where did the idea of this being the worst Virtual Boy game originate in Western circles?
There was a Virtual Boy review magazine that came out posthumously of the Virtual Boy's lifespan. It's mentioned in the Virtual Lab article we wrote that was like a Virtual Boy retrospective. It was written very snarkily.
Oh, you could have gotten one more piece in there too.
Nah, it's fine, because I'm going to get this completion on the right-hand side there, and then it'll clear the bottom row, and then it'll auto-solve when that top piece. But yeah, so I don't remember the name of the magazine specifically, but it is mentioned in the Virtual Lab article original, and they took like great lengths to make fun of Virtual Lab in the course of like their review of it and reviewing every Virtual Boy game that had come out. That is precisely where it started. That is precisely the nexus point for it, because most magazines missed this game coming out completely. Most magazines did not even review this game because they had just given up reviewing Virtual Boy games at this point. So it was entirely revisionism. It was entirely post-Virtual Lab lifespan, or Virtual Boy lifespan, that the reputation for it started. This is also the rarest cartridge you will find for the Virtual Boy, because the production run was so limited, because J-Wing was kind of a boutique publisher in the best of days. I'm going to switch it to 3D, then I'll do another solve here. So yeah, this is a case of a bad game where you can precisely track the origin of that, which is a interesting facet of it in itself. And yeah, people will also, complain about this game for the fact that it is so rare. You will get collector market assholes who will just be like, this game sucks because I can't find it, because it's the one thing keeping me from completing my Virtual Boy collection. So there's like a sort of like spite factor that comes with that. Entirely unfairly, I would dare to venture to say.
Why do I even have my 3D glasses on? I know how this game looks in 3D.
Yeah, the entire game takes place in the foreground. So, you know what? Let's do it like this, because I don't actually...
This is also, just in general, I would say, the Virtual Boy game that I've played the most.
Yeah,
period.
Funny how that works out, huh? You know what? Let's do it like this.
And then flip it. You know what I would love to see, honestly, is just a modern remake of this. You don't have to add too many bells and whistles. Just something that's not the Virtual Boy, and something that controls it a little better.
There have been attempts. There's like a Mega Drive homebrew version of this that is being worked on. We played that on a casual Monday as well. It's not great. It's missing a lot of... It's broken. It adds a multiplayer mode, which is kind of neat. But it's also, like, unsolvable. Like, it doesn't recognize some combos. It has a ways to go, let's just say.
I think my dream version of this, my dream re-release version of this, would just be done, like, in Unity or Godot or something.
Could very easily be done.
Easily accessible as possible.
So, I'm just, like, junking a lot of pieces here. I don't necessarily care. Because, there's
you're hunting for.
There's an unsolvable, like, knot. You'll get a lot of this in this game, where you'll find things that you can't resolve due to circumstance, due to just, like, poor planning or making a mistake. And so the only way to get rid of those is to get the angel to come out, which we will do here, and that will clean up the mess of the, like, open ends resolving into closed ends that would otherwise be impossible to deal with. But this should get rid of that bottom row. It should resolve that knot, because it'll be facing downwards. And then I can just...
Is this that guest character you were talking about?
Yes, the angel there is from Chiki Chiki. Tengoku is someone mentioned in chat. The correct name of that Game Boy game.
Every time you say the name of that game, Chiki Chiki, I think of that, like, meme song with the cat. You remember? Like,
no.
Chiki Chiki ta ta. Looby, looby, laba, laba.
Oh, yes, okay, yes. Okay, I had a bad input there. I had a fucked input there, where it did a additional input that I did not want it to do, because of the way this game erroneously hallucinates some inputs. Johnny says, okay, I wasn't sure, but I am happy to report some 3D is in fact applied to the tits. Yes, I can notice that.
Yes.
I believe I noted that in the article as well. But yeah, 3D, completely unnecessary for this game. Megumi was more just concerned with getting the game done rather than implementing any 3D implementation into it, anything that would really, like, fully leverage the 3D, any foreground, background element stuff beyond just having the scrolling star field. She wanted to implement the multiplayer. She had the intention to have, like, link cable, the Virtual Boy head-to-head cable, but the fact that it never came out and that she was so limited on time, she couldn't even, like, sneak it in, because there's just not the time or budget to do so. Which is unfortunate, because I think there is, like, a multiplayer potential to this game. Limited though it may be, there is a potential.
Like, I'll be honest, like, not immediately after the show, but in the future, I will pop this game in on occasion. I will continue to play this.
You know what,
because I am a puzzle game fan, and this is a fine one. Like, again, I don't need to keep saying it, but there's a grin and bear it-ness to the controls.
Yeah, like the fact that I was trying to just do one move there, and you saw me overshoot it, like, 3 times over. Like, I'm not saying this game is perfect. In fact, I just noticed a huge error I just made personally because of, the way the graphics gyrate and like, wriggle, is I didn't realize that this whole thing I'm doing here is unresolvable.
Yeah.
That I've been wasting my time on this. That's just I would need to do. Well, luckily there is a very clear solution. I know exactly what I need to do to deal with the issue I've created for myself.
I think in general, that's fine for a puzzle game, for you to be able to put yourself in a situation like, whoops, I fucked it.
Yeah, what's important is the ability to unfuck it. What's important is that a puzzle game give you the option, the ability to get yourself out of a sticky situation up until a certain point.
Yeah, up until a certain point is key.
This should be a tenor if I get this piece all the way to the right.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 10. That's exactly 10.
Oh, God. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Bad inputs. If they fix the inputs, that would be such a solve for this game.
Again, that's why I would love there to be like a modern version of this. I'm not gonna bug Megumi-tan for this or anything.
Nah, she got out of game development. She is not gonna develop any more games. She does stuff in VR chat, and she's been getting back into modeling, 3D modeling, to fully realize her vision of herself, and I love that for her. I love her. She's great. She's a goddamn angel. She's one of my favorite people, Megumi-tan. Yeah, something, we get into it in the interview article, but something really fucking bad happened to her. A really bad experience that traumatized her for years and made her want to quit the games industry as well, just to take a break from the real world, let's say. And so I won't get into that here, but read the articles. They that pair of articles is probably some of my proudest writing. Probably the best thing I ever did in the history of the Bad Game Hall of Fame as like a writing project. I am immensely proud of the work I did helping bring Megumi into the spotlight. She's found her people at this point. She's found a community. She has the respect of people. She hosts workout classes in VR chat. If you are up early enough for like the Japanese morning and you want someone to work out with, Megumi-tan seems like the perfect partner for it. And this game gets a bad rap. I mean, it gets these inputs are killer.
Okay, if you want to thread the needle, this game gets a disproportionately bad rap.
Yeah, that would be a better way to put it. It's definitely... It is poor in its implementation of a basic idea, but understanding the circumstances that led to that, understanding the time crunch, understanding this is a one-woman project. No, well, I didn't even expect to get the 10 there, but... And we'll call it here. We'll call this game for now, for here.
Might want to turn off the 3D for the next one.
Thank you, Megumi-tan. Thank you for inventing video games. Also, I just realized how low in the mix I had left this game because of the previous games we had played that were super loud. So folk were barely getting the music. Right. Megumi-tan wrote this music.
Also, I did missay her name earlier, Megumi-tan. So.
Megumi-tan, Megumi-tan. I don't know the nuances.
I used the wrong honorific. I think I used Chan instead of Tan.
Yeah, she prefers Tan, as I'm to understand it. But yeah, that's Virtual Lab. Not the worst. Doesn't need to be on Virtual Boy. Does not need to be on Virtual Boy. Would have been better served on any other platform other than the Virtual Boy. Like, let's not get too biased here. It sucks that the implementation is bad. It sucks that the manual was written to make the sex object of the game, as it were, the eye candy of it, as it were, a 12-year-old girl, is bad, even though that was not the authorial intention of Megumi. And ultimately, does not need to be on the Virtual Boy. But again, far from the worst thing in this system library, and the whiff of a good idea for a puzzle game in there. So that's our measured take on it. That's our fair and balanced take on Virtual Lab. And again, fuck 3D Tetris. Worst piece of dog shit we'll ever play in the course of this segment. Funny enough, the next game we're gonna play is based on what is widely considered to be one of the worst movies of all time, one of the biggest box office flops to ever exist, got a video game tie-in. Got a several, I think. I think there was like a Genesis version. There's some other platform that has a game with the title of this game that is also a licensed tie-in. But this is not considered to be the worst game for the Virtual Boy, despite its tie-in to a dubious movie license. The game we are talking about is, of course, Waterworld. And you won't fucking believe it, but the developer and publisher for Waterworld is none other than Ocean Software. Talk about a coincidence. I mean, obviously they sought the license out, and maybe they thought it would tie into their branding. Maybe that's how they sold themselves to Universal, whoever the rights holders were for the movie. I think it was MCA Universal. Anyway, we've got a Waterworld game. Isn't that funny enough on its own?
Ocean. The fact that it's by Ocean tells me a lot about how the soundtrack is probably going to sound.
Yeah, you'd be right. This one is known largely for its soundtrack among Virtual Boy enthusiasts, among like Planet Virtual Boy users or whoever the fuck. So let's go ahead and get it launched.
So, Waterworld. I've seen it.
Surprising. I'm surprised to hear you say that.
One of my birthdays as a child, I don't remember which birthday. It was like I was probably prior to my 10th birthday. I had a sleepover birthday, and I rented a couple of movies. I rented 3 movies. I don't remember all of them, but one of them was Tremors, and one of them was Waterworld.
Let it cook. Yeah, that's that Ocean Software. We're doing like Doppler effects.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes on. I think this song is like 8 minutes long or 5 minutes long before it loops.
Magic now says the one thing European developers got right in this era is cool bleep bloopy music. I've said it before, but I'll like be playing an old video game and I'll hear arpeggios come out of it. I'll just point at the screen and go European.
So we are protecting these floaters in the center. We need to kill the folks on jet skis before they abscond with.
Very smoothly animated survivors.
And the jet skis too. They drew a lot of angles. These are obviously not really 3D. These are digitized, sprites. But at the same time, they have so many angles that it's actually very fluid, the rotation on them.
We're also playing we're playing Defender in with an extra axis of play.
I think if we hold down the A button, we have that trail there. So I wonder if that means we rotate faster. Because we have the accelerate, we have zoom out
Goodbye.
by holding down to where we can have a top-down view if you just want to play the game like this. And that's just down on the D-pad. Or was that just because I ended the stage? That might
the
just
end of
be
the stage, it zooms out, I believe.
Enola saved. This is the kid who has the map painted on their back, I believe, tattooed in their back.
Yep, the map to the dry land, which is Mount Everest.
Spoiler alert. It's R to shoot, as well as L. Maybe look up and tell me exactly what the buttons are supposed to do here, what they're intended to be.
I was in the process of doing. Fire is the trigger buttons, so up to 4 shots at once. Move and thrust is control pad up. That's also what A and B do. Left and right is left and right, and that is it.
Okay.
Just move and shoot.
Yeah, exceedingly basic. I think there's more enemy types that appear later, but that's about all they can do with this.
It does suggest trying to drift and shoot off angle to, quote, sweep shoot enemies. When you hear an alarm, a tracker shark is approaching. was the villain in that movie? Who played him? It's the same guy who played Bowser in Mario,
yes.
right?
I never remember his name, but I remember him for Blue Velvet.
Dennis Hopper?
Dennis Hopper, yes. I always think of him in Blue Velvet because he's absolutely fucking unhinged in that movie. He's unhinged in every one of his movie performances, but he's especially fucking unhinged in Blue Velvet.
In Blue Velvet, was he the one who goes, Heineken, fuck that, Pabst Blue Ribbon?
Yes, he is.
Is that him? Yeah.
Fuck
Blue
that
Velvet,
shit!
also seen it. Yeah. I've also seen that movie.
It's a good movie. That David Lynch fella, he knew what he was doing.
I've repeated my friend's joke a million times, but Blue Velvet, working title, Curious George finds an ear. Oh, so that was the tracker shark alarm you just heard.
Yep, I see the shark over there, too.
Yeah.
Bob says...
You can't kill him.
Bob says, so this is by a guy named Steve Wojda. I know that name. Who got to start doing Atari 2600 games. Yep. Which explains a lot here. This game's already fucking boring.
Yeah, it's just sort of this, isn't it?
Yes. I think it was Bob who also said that this was the soundtrack they would listen to while they were getting high. This is a perfect game to get high to because it's very low stakes. There's very little happening. Oh, I think I lost a life because I spawned and a jet ski, a jet ski-doo spawned next to me, immediately inside of me, immediately forfeited a life at the beginning of the stage. So that's not cool.
Okay, speaking of very little happening, it was a wise decision to not actually have a lot on the screen right now. Like, imagine what this would look like if they tried to have the water be any shade of red at all.
Oh, it would suck. To have, like, some sort of ripple effect, it would just make this unparsable.
So, like, a smart use of restraint, given what they were working with here. You know, looking at Space Invaders, and we're like, you know, we could put a background here. Ocean took a look at this and going like, you know what, let's just make everything black. But, yeah, to be as reductionist as possible, this is just the fender. With, like, more than horizontal.
Oh, the shark is totally coming for, like, the civilians and just eating them outright.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, you know what this game could
slow
use?
It down.
You know what would really help this game out? Let's see it in 3D.
All right. Oh, those the words are coming right at me. Let's see that Enola bonus.
I don't think I got it. I think they came for Enola.
Oh.
Oh, never mind. There we go.
5. I love that graphic. I love that specific graphic in this game. I don't know. Something about it. Something about just like this really poorly digitized photo of a real-ass person just like, Enola saved, and whoop.
Oh, for me, with my non-3D seeing and not even having the glasses on, this just became a million times less playable. Hey, Sharky, you take over with the glasses on because that was not going to work. That is not going to work for me.
Push A to add player. What? What does that imply?
Huh.
I'm not going to, but I'm curious now. I'll look in the manual later.
Oh, you know what it is? It adds a alternating player, so you're taking turns.
Well.
Should have added a player.
I've added a player. Oh, I'll start from the top.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're missing much. Carlover says link cable stuff. No, link cable never came out. And like the couple of games, like I believe it's theorized. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but Mario Tennis was of the games that came out for the Virtual Boy, the only one that had built into it the capacity for multiplayer, but they had to dummy all that stuff out when they realized they were not going to put out the link cable. I think there's like multiplayer code hidden on cartridge. So when people figured out how to homebrew a link cable between the Virtual Boys, I believe that unlocked, or required steps to, but people have unlocked the ability to do link cable stuff in Mario Tennis. And then there was like some homebrew games that are designed around multiplayer, the likes of.
Oh, okay.
There's
if
like
you hold back, it does zoom out the whole thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't go up. It doesn't like do the bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Like this is a bit of a spoiler. Fucking spoiler. In the 4th episode, we'll play a version of Street Fighter 2 for the Virtual Boy that was done homebrew. That was actually very impressive. Probably the most impressive homebrew thing that came out for the Virtual Boy. And I believe Link Cable is cooked into that. But as far as any of these commercial releases that we're playing across these first 3 episodes, just assume no.
3D adds nothing. Once again, it is a situation where the 3D is more pronounced on these menu screens than any sort of like actual gameplay.
I had a hunch. But still, like, my not 3D seeing ass saw the degrees of red and blue separation here and immediately had to nope out of this.
Oh, I can still move during intermission screens.
That's probably a good way to get away from the edges of the screen where the jet skis come out of. So they won't immediately cost you a life like it did to me that one time.
I gotta say, I don't like how this controls. It is... I've been saying Defender this whole time, but there is like a asteroids element to it too. Because of how the momentum is. And it don't feel good. I guess it feels like real sluggish and slow on top of that. There's no kind of immediacy. Even turning doesn't feel particularly fast.
Yeah. The joys of naval combat.
Just... Whoops.
Rear-ended.
Yeah. It's a real strangely out of place and serene soundtrack, though. I get that why this would be the thing people remember.
They had to do fucking something for this game. They had to give it some sort of edge, some feature. Because they certainly didn't incorporate any of those into the gameplay. They certainly did not bother fleshing out the gameplay or going above and beyond the gameplay.
You could probably turn the 3D off.
I could probably turn this fucking game off.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, this is, novel. It has probably, I'm sure someone will say, there's some interesting tech underneath the hood on this one to make this as smooth as it did and have so many frames of animation.
I mean,
and, the scaling
the
here.
The animation does look good.
And maintain the frame rate. This is actually very impressive. And you'd be like,
that's
great,
true.
Cool. Too bad the gameplay sucks.
We can whoops. It's fair enough to like point out several things, like that was the first thing I noticed was the animation. The amount of frames did look good, and you're also right that the gameplay sucks. we can like look at things where they succeed and things where they fail, and when a game fails as a game part of the game, that is sort of a deal breaker in a lot of cases.
I remember we had a back and forth with someone, I believe. I don't remember if it was in a chat or in a YouTube comments or wherever it was, where someone was like insisting.
Oh, Craft in the USA.
I'm going to take it all back. It's all good, actually. Got to support homespun developers or whatever. I don't know. It's just a thing where people are too willing sometimes to give games the benefit of the doubt just because they have impressive tech. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's in service of a bad game that alienates players. I don't know if that one was bad enough to alienate. It's just boring. It just means that people would fall off of it sooner rather than later. They'd feel like your money was probably not particularly well spent after playing it once and realizing it doesn't advance or do anything. I feel it would be more of an issue with that.
I think there's something to be said about a game being interesting academically, even if it's not fun.
Sure. That's a discussion for some other time.
Yeah.
We got 2 more games tonight, as I see fit to show off. We're going to end the year 1995 with these last 2 games. Then we have 2 more games released in 1996, and that does it for the official library for the Virtual Boy. So we're in the last 4 games already for the Virtual Boy in episode 3 of this. And of course, we're filling out episode 4 with even more games, unreleased games, homebrew et al. But these last 2 for tonight are both going to be Japanese exclusives. One of them is translated. We're playing the translated one right now. And it's one that I think people have an interest in seeing. Certainly nerds have an interest in seeing, because it's a tie-in to one of those anime properties that I hear so much about.
His co-host Sid might have an interest in seeing.
SD Gundam Dimension War, developed by Locomotive Corporation, developers of Virtual Fishing earlier in the episode, published by Bandai, released December 22nd, 1995, in or roundabouts. As we mentioned, Japan exclusive, and this one's a strategy game with lots of story elements in it, so thank God it's translated, so we can have, make some heads or tails of this. So there's Gundam, right? There's multiple Gundam series. most of which exist in the same continuity as one another, but tell different like points in the story in the timeline of the Federation War. But then there's also spin-off series that are like, I know there's one which is exclusively about people making Gundam figures and battling them, like in our reality, like getting really into like Gundam figures and painting them, and that's a series. And then there's also the SD Gundam series, which is super deformed, which is just like a cutesy sort of like comedy take on Gundam with like an alternate continuity as I'm to understand it. And so this is based in that, because they weren't going to give the Virtual Boy a full-fledged Gundam game. There's like, all right, you want us to put out a game on the Virtual Boy? You want us to put out a Gundam game? We'll give you SD Gundam. Maybe that's the conversation had. Probably not the conversation had, but it's funny to imagine it that way. So yes, let's get this loaded up. I thought erroneously that Virtual Fishing would have the credits at the top of it. I'm hoping this one has the credits at the top of it for the translation. But I could be wrong about that as well. I think I was wrong about that as well.
Also, not to be confused with SD Gundam Sengoku, which is SD Gundam, but telling the story of Romance of Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, no credits in this one. Okay. I played the first level of this. I'll start a new game anyway. But it does have backup. It has battery save, it appears to be. G-Force endeavors to recover MS units. All right, all the setup we need.
Does anyone in chat know what the SD Gundam series was that took place in the Japan's Warring States period?
Prior to a colony, we meet enemies. Sengoku period. The Warring States period.
I confused the words with that and the Japanese words for the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era.
Yeah,
Chinese,
to be clear, Sengoku
Chinese
period, not
history.
Three Kingdoms. It's... Okay. So what the fuck are we looking at? I can explain. It's grid-based. There are also vertical layers. So there are 3 vertical planes. Up, let's call it the baseline, and then below baseline. So these are your angles of approach. We have a starting fleet here. You can tell who our units are because they have their backs to us. So this guy up here, he's one of ours. This guy over here, he's a baddie. Our characters will always give us their backs. The enemy will always give us their front. So we can go across the grid, we can select a unit. I don't like how the heads-up display is at the very tippity top of the screen. There should be some padding there. Yes, but it is not. So we have a limited number of things we can do with our unit to control them. Primarily, we're going to move. That is the first thing we're going to need to do. I can change their elevation with L and R. I can move them forward. No, I'm not okay. Actually, I'm doing a Virtual Boy night, and I'm feeling pretty exhausted by it. Moving up and down costs a move. Moving forwards, backwards, left and right also does. This is going to put us right in the face of the enemy, which I'm fine with. And now we can choose to attack. I believe we are above them 1 space, so we might have some sort of advantage conferred by that. Let us shift now to the battle screen.
Outside of 3D, would there be any indication of what plane you're on?
Maybe. We'll go back to that screen and find out. So because we are the attacker, we have the approach, which means we get this section at the top here, where we get some free hits in. Some enemies will fire back during the screen. Some won't. Now we shift to this screen. This screen fucking sucks. We use the right D-pad to do sword attacks and shooting attacks. Up, I think, is defense. Down is a sword swipe. Left is machine gun. Right is lasers. This is a horrible way to bind this stuff. These sections last 40 seconds? 30 seconds? They last too long.
This looks like it's trying to be a Cyber Connect game, like a decade too early.
This is where you'll do most of the damage as you get more efficient at it, is during these screens. I am not efficient at it because I think this is very silly and plays very badly. But there, that was an attack sequence. So now I can go backwards and pick another unit, and we can do the same song and dance again.
Okay, well, alright. When you were selecting stuff, I did see, like the Y x-axis, and I saw an H, which I assume is, like, you know, height. It is just very, in general, just does seem very unclear what plane anything is on.
Yes! I can go over the rock there, and I chose to.
Okay, so would the rock actually block you if you were on the same...
It did.
Okay. So this is one of those things where, being able to tell what vertical plane you're on should have way more priority than just saying, I'm sure the 3D will make it obvious. Like, no, it needs to be super obvious.
By the way, our warships cannot move left and right. They can only move forwards, backwards, up and down. White base. I guess I'll keep our base in the background. Okay, this one can actually move left and right, funnily enough. Alright, I think I've exhausted all of my moves. So when I do that, when I press the A button, it just says, hey, you want to end your turn? Do you want to save your game? I'll say, finish turn. Now the enemy will take their turn. And I'm sure they're going to want to attack me.
Alright, do you have recourse here?
Yeah, this is actually me. I'm actually doing the attacks right now. Oh, okay. I think they are kind enough to just let you be on the attack for these, even if you are the one being attacked. And then it's here. So you can theoretically take no damage from enemy attacks if you are savvy enough, or if you are good enough at these sections.
Do you have buttons that are letting you go into the foreground and background?
L and R.
Okay. It does seem like you turn to face if the opponent decides to go.
So my machine gun and missiles or lasers. But you can tell that it's basically impossible to hit them. You really need to be on the same plane to get anything done. But you also see our Gundam is getting absolutely fucking smashed.
Yes.
There's just not much I can do about that because the combat in this game is fucking abjectly awful. The part that is the gameplay, that is not just a strategy, is a miserable, confusing, poorly perspectived slog.
Could you approach for a melee attack while you're on, like, a skew angle, or do you have to be on the same plane to actually approach?
It's hard to say because the perspective here is awful, is abysmal, and I couldn't tell you. I just couldn't because for as straightforward as this should be, it's also completely esoteric. It's also completely obtuse and unexplained. And, you know, they're so squirrely. They're moving around so much that I don't think you can really set up an attack from the background, move into the foreground, be swiping the sword. I just don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think that's in the cards like you're trying to describe, as I'm to understand it. And by God, does this move fucking slow. Now, I will say that if you manage to keep your units intact, they do gain experience for kills and between missions. So, you know, you are rewarded in some capacity for maintaining your units as assigned to you. I will also say, though, that's not worth investing your time in this because this is an awful game. It's just a rotten, awful little thing that is not worth the mystique around it.
I've never been much of a fan of, like, strategy games to begin with, to be honest. And once we get into a fight, it's not a strategy game anymore. And it still doesn't look good, but it's not a strategy game.
No, I will say a big problem with this is the fact that everything is the same color, that they do not smartly use the palette here. So I can't tell what the enemy projectiles are versus the stars in the background. It would have been better off with this being a black background. I lost a unit. about to get attacked? No, it's our turn. Hey, you know what might help this? What if I played it in fucking 3D?
Let's see how that looks. Well, as I expected, this does nothing to solve the height issue.
Now, I can do an indirect attack. If I am, like, a space away from attack range, I can do indirect. I don't remember what the ambush does. This will do this sort of attack, which I have no control over this. This is just happening. Or maybe I am sort of moving them. It's hard to say. I got some hits in. That's all that matters.
No. Oh, okay.
I also don't appreciate this game moves as slow as fucking molasses. Which, you know, is a strategy game, but... Alright, let's see how this looks in the 3D perspective. Can I kill this guy before we have to get into close quarters combat and I get inevitably destroyed because I have no health going into this fight? Nope.
You got one shot, more or less. Let's not make things any more clear.
I got fucked.
Did you trade? The sword, he had no life too.
He had like a magic pixel. I had nothing. Oh, ambush. Huh? Did it do anything? Oh, ambush. I know what ambush is. Ambush is like a guard mode. Like, you know, like in Fire Emblem, you set yourself to, like, if anyone attacks me, I'm prepared for it.
Okay. You're preparing for ambush, not doing an ambush, right?
Wait. I thought I could move into attack range on this stupid ship, but I guess I was on the wrong vertical plane or something. I want to attack the enemy ship. Hey, game, how do I attack the enemy ship? That's all I give a shit about. The grid does not help because the grid is like a 2D thing on the screen. We are operating in some sort of 3D space with height variances, so I can't actually gauge distance from the things, despite there being a fucking grid on the screen. How do you fuck this up this badly? So this enemy ship fires back at us, so this isn't just unprotected. And, you know, this also replaces the close-up combat section. Because how's a ship supposed to, like, melee fight us? You can see how much health it has, though. Which means it'll take several series of these attacks to do the damage necessary to...
Do quite a number of these attacks, it seems. Unless you brought, like, your own battleship. I don't know.
Possibly.
They can't move, like, horizontally, though. I don't know if they'll ever be matched up.
Am I okay? They keep asking me that. And I keep telling them, no. Do you want to give this a shot? I mean,
no, I actually don't, because I don't think I'm going to do any better than you are. In fact, I will do worse than you will. I could try. Let me... Here. Why would I move around right now? I mean, I win. You know what? Actually, I do better than you, because I killed that thing so fast.
I softened it up for you, you bitch. Alright, good luck with this one. Wait, this one might also have... No, it does not have a magic pixel. Good luck. Yeah, I think this is one of those ones where it's just like the benefit of it not being translated for so long is that people just got to imagine the best version of this game in their mind as far as like English-speaking players are concerned. And so the people who have like wanted to get hands on this for a while, and I'm here to say, you don't actually want hands on this. You don't actually need to play this. D-pad, D-pad, right D-pad. You see how this combat
Strange.
doesn't work in 3D perspective that they're trying to set up here? Do you see how this just is completely, like, borderline non-functional? L and R to shift planes.
The thing is, I'm at such a disadvantage with my health that, like, getting close up to him, I feel like is more danger than it's worth.
It is, but it's also the only way this this game will ever end. The only way this match, you died.
Well, there's another way this will end.
Okay, so now it is your turn. You can press the A button and it'll cycle you to a unit with an available turn, like your Gundam, for example. Now tap it again, and now you can move closer to like an enemy ship. Now, where do you think you are relative to that enemy ship?
I think I'm above it.
Are you above it or behind it? You are, in fact, above it.
Literally directly above it.
But do you see how that perspective is bad?
Yes, I've been saying that this whole time.
When the fundamentals of just like the grid that the game that encompasses like positioning, which is like, you know, really like, you know, the core of the game besides the combat, is like positioning and like getting angles and strategically deploying. And by the way, these maps are like all this like asteroid fields. They're all just pretty open for the most part, marred by a couple asteroids that may or may not get in your way. So like, you know, they're not particularly exciting stages where you're not like having to like, you know, leverage terrain in like in any sort of interesting way. So it's just flat across the fucking board. I don't think there's much story to it, so even like the Gundam super fan who wants to know like what happens in SD Gundam is not going to be served by this. It's a game for no one.
I don't think Gundams are made to attack these ships.
They are.
It's certainly not useful. What is happening right here? No, I'm looking at... I know, I've pressed A. Thing is, like...
I would do an attack.
Salamis.
You have the attack option, I would do it. Can you attack the enemy ship? Can you press left or right to toggle the
I can only attack Rickdom.
There you go. Alright, this is gonna be the, like, yeah, this mode.
Well, that's all I got. I did have some limited degree of control over that.
You can indirect something. You can indirect fire at something or other. Yeah, okay, you can hit one of the enemy ships, maybe. You could do that. You should do that.
The Gelgoog. Yep, I'm telling you to do. Okay, there we go.
See, I don't think the ships can engage each other. It certainly seemed like the ships cannot engage each other.
I thought that other thing I was focusing on was a ship.
You would think so, but the perspective is so wonderful here. Alright, let's see what the enemy does. They're going after our Rickdom. They're going after our flagship. So what do you have control over here?
I can press the shoot button, I think.
Yeah, so you're sending a barrage back to try and defend our ship.
Yeah. Protect the salami at all costs.
What a rotten little game. And this is the Virtual Boy strategy game. This is the one it got. Japan exclusive. They can fucking keep it.
On the plus side to NSO subscribers, you're probably never getting this because of licensing hell.
Glad to see people spared. Some small justice in this fucking rotten world. Get your Gundam across the other side of the screen, or... Oh, well, it just ended after 3 seconds.
I'll honestly, I have no idea what I was in that fight.
You were the Gundam.
All right, I don't think I had any direct control over that because I was doing movements that were not related to what the Gundam was doing.
How much health does this thing have? Can we see an end to this? I'm just taking over control. I'm gonna see how much health it has, and if I decide that this isn't ending anytime soon, I'm calling this fucking game.
Oh, you might as well turn the 3E off.
Oh my god, yeah, it still has full health. Fuck this. Fuck SD Gundam. Whatever the full name of this game is. Doesn't even deserve the time spent saying its full title. Awful.
SD Gundam Dimension War.
Ah, I curse it. Whew, this has not been a good night for the Virtual Boy. we did have, like, the 2 or 3 best games for it. And even those were mostly underwhelming. We have exactly 1 shot left tonight. There is one last chance, one last game tonight. Let's hope it ties the whole thing together. It's fucking Virtual Boying. We're fucked. It's a bowling game. We're fucking doomed. It's over. The Virtual Boy is fucking done. This is 1995's Virtual Bowling, December 22nd release, developed and published by Athena. Japan exclusive. Don't worry, we got our own exclusive bowling game. We'll see that in the next episode, in the last episode. And they are 2 different games by 2 different developers with 2 different, let's say, characters attached to them. Man, what a pointless console. What an utterly pointless piece of hardware. Yeah.
We did not play the other bowling game already.
No, I said next episode, yeah.
I know. I was thinking to myself, like, wait, did we really not? I guess we didn't.
Standard mode, tournament mode, training mode. I'm assuming the training mode is going to be written in Japanese. I'm assuming it's going to tutorialize this in Japanese. So I think we're just going to have to wing it.
Training mode's all about, like, theory and stuff. Conceptual bowling.
Luckily, for a Japanese-only release, we can enter our name in Romaji. Type, power, normal, or technique. I'm pure power. I'll go with right-handed. Give me the 13 ball. How waxed do you want the lane?
How waxy do you want it? Or if I'm reading this the way it's shown, how much of the thing do you want to be waxed and how much of it you want to be bone dry?
Yeah, only like immediately before the pins do I want wax. Everything before then, dry.
That feels like... That's a weird setting. I don't think I've seen any bowling game say, like, how much wax you want.
Okay. Let's see the full range of stuff we can do. We can change our angle of approach. The Virtual Boy is struggling to move this bitmap background and the background element in this space in time. I think this is center. It's hard to say because of the wonderful perspective here. All right, how much spin do we want on it? I would prefer none. Huh? I didn't input there. I did not input it all there. I want to try that again.
Alright, you got some less spin and... Okay. Or not less spin.
No, I want to try this again until I get it. Because again, we don't have the benefit of instruction manual. I'm going to do this repeatedly a few times until I figure out what they want. Okay, so it is the wind up, and then you have to try to time your second button press with that center point to actually release it at the right time.
Alright, it's
That
a
is
golf
the
mirror
idea.
then. It's
Yeah.
power and accuracy.
Let's aim a little right. I'd rather err on the left-hand side. Fuck that up completely.
Too much left.
You want to take turns on this? I only let us put in one name, yeah. You give it a go.
Well, now I'm gonna... Alright, that's gonna teach me something for sure.
Do you want me to rewind you so you can actually dial it in?
Sure. Yeah.
Because without explanation, it's a nightmare. Are you trying to do it as far, like, to the side as possible? Because that's just going to result in, something.
Yeah, I was trying to do it as far to the side as possible because I'm trying to figure out which direction is going to cause the curve in which way. This one... Here, I think. Whoa, rewind me on that. That one sucked. The timing is weird on this. Wow, the timing is really fucking weird on this.
Yeah, I think the timing in this game is just awful across the board. Might just be a quirk of it.
You can see what I was going for, but yeah, the timing is just so fucked up.
Garbage.
Yeah. I feel like I have to, like, do it so early.
I just want to do straight down the middle. That's the only thing I can see myself doing. I don't want to fuck with spin. I don't want to try to do any angles here. Wait, that's it? Oh, no, it's...
No,
they were just giving us an update,
I guess.
Say something nice.
Doesn't look awful.
Sure. It performs badly. In service of its okay graphics. Oh, thank God. We finally get to see something.
See, that's the benefit of not always just throwing it down the middle straight and as powerful as possible.
Alright, I think it's my turn now.
Yeah.
Is that to the left? I still don't get whether this is to the left.
Okay, so if you're on the left side, that's going to curve it to the right. On the right side, that's going to curve it to the left.
So I want to end it on the left-hand side.
Yes. I see why they're doing it, but it is unintuitive compared to a lot of other bowling games and how they do it. See, yeah, exactly. You got it.
No animations, no like fun little like intermission bowling alley animations attempt at any sort of levity here.
I feel like a lot of bowling games actually don't go full on with that.
Well, that's pathetic of them.
To their detriment.
Yes. They should all be doing it all the time. I believe the other one, the North American bowling game, will in fact indulge in...
You know what? Let's aggressively cheat and let's see if we can get a turkey.
You want to try? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this really the shot you want?
It was almost the shot I wanted.
Want me to rewind?
Yeah. Let's give it 2 more tries to get a turkey, and then past that. I'm going a little straighter than I would like, but...
Straighten to the fucking side. I say just, like, slam it down the middle. I'd fuck, like, this coming from an angle shit. That or it just has to be an extreme angle. Those are the 2 alternatives. Yeah. I think, like,
that's
nuance
too extreme of an angle.
is... Oh, yep.
Yeah, that was way too extreme of an angle.
I don't think you can, like... I don't think you can put...
The timing on that is so bad.
The timing on this whole thing is awful. I feel like delayed inputs and like the windows here are like it's like a bad golf game. Or I suppose it's like a bad bowling game. That's a whiff.
God, the timing
because you did not end that exactly in the center circle.
Yeah. Fuck it.
No, one more shot. I want this goddamn turkey.
There we go.
It was a team effort. Fucking something, finally. The slightest bit of levity. The slightest taste of this game having any discernible personality. Ugh. Hey, Charky.
a little bit pleased with yourself, ain't you? And rightly so.
You know what we should do?
Yeah, like, I'm putting them on.
We should see it in 3D. Okay, I see how they're doing the effect here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. Well, so much for our, what comes after a turkey?
Oh, I actually don't know. I don't remember.
And we'll never find out.
This isn't doing a lot to help me determine, like, what.
Oh, no, it's doing absolutely nothing. The perspective doesn't help at all.
I can still determine center just as well by seeing the parallax on those pins.
You just know where pins are intuitively from having played bowling.
Yeah.
You know, they're in a triangle shape. There's even a graphic in the top left corner of the screen that tells you where the pins are. So the 3D is absolutely worthless. It is purely cosmetic, and even then, it's not particularly, from what I can gather here, I bet it's not, like, blowing the world apart.
No.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Like, you can play this entire game in the foreground.
Yeah, and, like, playing it in the 2D thing, like, you can still just tell, just from the parallax. Like, the parallax is doing a good enough job of letting you know where you are, but it's still not doing a great job of letting you know where you are. Like, I have played strictly 2D bowling games that are, like, significantly, like, more readable than this.
So, did this need to come out for the Virtual Boy?
No, I mean, bowling games I'm not sure how much a bowling game benefits from being on the Virtual Boy in general.
And yet, of all the genres represented on the Virtual Boy, whereas there's mostly, like, in the Virtual Boy library, one game to represent every genre, they covered a lot of genres with one game each. Except bowling, which got 2 separate games. So bowling is, by volume, one of the most represented genres for the Virtual Boy. This is the genre they had to double down on. That and puzzle games.
Like, what truly kills this game is the input delay. I know this is not a parsec thing. This has this, like, weird input delay that is, like... When you play these games and you're not Cass, you actually do want to be, like, nuanced. You actually do want to try and aim for something very specific. And it's so off. You can turn the 3D off now, by the way. It's the,
This is training mode, by the way.
The input is so off that it's almost impossible to tell, like, what you're going for. And, like, what you're doing.
So training mode, rather than being a tutorial, is a mode where you can say, I want to set these pins so I can practice, like, a given shot, like your 7-10 split or what have you.
And you know what? That's actually interesting. That's an idea to have a thing to, like, actually practice, like, weird pin setups. I don't think I see that in many bowling games at all. Much like the wax thing. But no, it is the just poor responsiveness of this game that kills it for me. As someone who likes bowling games, like, this is a bad one because its input is, like, so bad that I feel like I don't have the nuance that I want to have out of it. And by nuance, honestly, I just mean the basic control of the game, basically doing what I want to do. Like, you're getting the timing. You're getting the timing now, but it is still not what the timing should be, I would say.
No, it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awful. I'm just brain poised. I couldn't figure out the fishing game, but I could figure this out somehow. And that's the duality of Cass. I don't know how I'm doing this right now. I legitimately don't know how I'm actually doing this.
You've managed to flip the lag switch in your brain that like matches up perfectly.
Okay, here's an impossible shot. Let's do a 7-10 split. I don't remember the approach for this. I'm gonna try something funky here. Yeah, the pin action on that, I don't know about that. I don't know if you can really send a pin flying in a different direction. I didn't see a lot of that. I did not see a lot of pin action in the previous when we were trying to play the game previously. So I'm just going to assume it's either not there or not pronounced enough to be like something you can reliably do.
I guess we've proven that you can get used to. You can adjust something in your head to get used to like the delay in terms of timing. It's still not good. It still shouldn't be this like off.
I wanted to see if there was like a story mode element to this tournament. If we're going to see our competitors, but I'm assuming this is going to be completely.
Wait.
Oh, good luck, everyone.
Are you
Good
going
luck.
against Mary, or is she hosting this tournament?
I think we're going against her. Different music. Eat that, Mary. Do we have to watch them play? No, we just play our set. I think we just play our game, and at the end it'll have some sort of summary of how everyone else did. Much like virtual fishing. Oh,
close.
Come on. I don't actually want to play a full set right now, believe it or not. I've had my fill of
I could go
bowling.
for a full set of a bowling game, but not this one.
Anyway, that's going to do it for virtual bowling. That's going to do it for the games tonight. That's going to do it for the year 1995 in the Virtual Boy. But we still have one more bit of business to attend to tonight. That is, of course, the rankings. Give me just a second here to actually get my ranking list up. I have to conjure it. I have to defocus my eyes real quick. There we go. Okay. Let's scroll down. We have all 8 games we played tonight represented here. We'll start with virtual fishing. I hated this. I'm not going to put it at the very bottom. I accept that. I was just not getting the timing down. So I'm going to leave this one entirely to you just because I could not like get in the right headspace for this game at all.
It was... I'm going to go ahead straight up say what I think it should be. I think it should be the new number 9 because it was boring. It was really, really boring, but it was functional. It worked. It wasn't, at least for me, it was not particularly frustrating, which puts it above Virtual League Baseball. Like, Virtual League Baseball is the start of, like, actively not liking to play this thing. Like, actively, aggressively, I don't want to play this. Virtual fishing is, I think, as low as you can, maybe as low as you can get without getting into sucks to play category.
I mean, for me, the hate begins at number 4 for me. Everything 4 and below is actively don't want to play this territory. But sure, virtual fishing number 9. I have no complaints. Okay, now we're actually going to have to think about Innsmouth no Yakata.
Yeah.
We're going to actually have to consider this one. I'm going to say it's top 5, but where exactly in the top 5? I'm going to say it's probably above Space Squash. I'm going to say it's above Panic Bomber. Is it above Mario Clash?
Honestly, it's hard to say. Like, it's impressive. I think it's very impressive looking. And I think there's interesting things going on there. I had to come at it from the perspective of thinking of it as a time attack game. I think I would play it over Mario Clash, but I don't know if I'd play it over Virtual Tetris or Vertical Force.
Here's where I land on it.
Uh-huh.
It's the best way I've played. To me, it's the best game for the Virtual Boy. Not just sentimentally. Like, you know, if I'm saying sentimentally, it's going to be Virtual Lab, and then we'll have to have a whole conversation about that. But for me, it is the game that does the best job, even if it's completely unnecessary, even if it doesn't really utilize the tech as well as Virtual Force does, where it actually incorporates it into the gameplay. to me, it is the most interesting perspective of, I'm not thinking about it in terms of 3D. I'm thinking about in terms of putting a visor on and putting yourself into darkness. I'm thinking about atmosphere. I'm thinking about putting yourself in the shoes of the player character and shooting it out with the demons. I think it is the best Virtual Boy experience. I think it is something that does benefit from being on the Virtual Boy, not in terms of the tech. It could have worked on any other platform, but would not have had the level of immersion it does on any other platform. And I think the immersion helps sell it. So I think in that regard, it hangs.
That does put it around where Vertical Force is, in my opinions on that.
I think I got to put it with V-Tetris, because V-Tetris is absolutely worthless on the Virtual Boy. It's a fine version of Tetris. It's up here because it's a good version of Tetris, but the fact it's on Virtual Boy is an inhibitor to it in terms of pointlessness and in terms of just like people being able to broadly access it. V-Tetris had exactly one mode that almost leveraged the 3D, and that was it.
I would be okay with Innsmouth being either number 2 or number 1.
I want to go number 1 with it. I am tempted to go number 1 with it because I think Vertical Force is just, even if it leverages the 3D planality of the Virtual Boy, it's just not a very good game even after that.
I mean, actually, honestly, if it was just me and I was just rating these things as game-ass games, I would put it below V-Tetris. If I was rating in terms of like, what do I want to play, I would put it below that because I think it is a very interesting game. But I think in the execution, I'm looking at Virtual Force and V-Tetris and be like, I'd rather play those.
I'm thinking about it from, if I am going to buy a Virtual Boy on the strength of an exclusive experience on it. I don't need to buy a Virtual Boy to play V-Tetris. I don't need to buy a Virtual Boy to play a game like Vertical Force, a shmup. I don't really need to buy a Virtual Boy to play a game like Innsmouth no Yakata either. But of those experiences, I think Innsmouth makes the best argument for being like immersive and interesting with the Virtual Boy. That if I wanted to like get spooked by a video game, if I was capable of such a thing, I think that would almost be like a sell case for it. If you are like a dedicated horror gamer who wants to be scared by video games, there is a world in which you could be scared by Innsmouth no Yakata in the year 1995 and buying a Virtual Boy for it. And then on top of that, it's a functional video game, which is, again, more than can be said for most of this fucking list.
Yeah, I mean, functional video game-ness puts it in the top 30 for sure, at the very least.
Can I put it at number 1?
You can. Like, that's not how I would personally put it in terms of how I'm looking at this list, in terms of looking at it in terms of games to play. But I wouldn't argue of someone having it as their number 1.
I think that's fair. And again, the rankings aren't meant to be like deathly serious. Especially with the Virtual Boy library. I mean, come on, this is all a race for like 10th place. There is no real first place. These are all completely unnecessary video games we're looking at. Some of them active like crimes in progress as we get really close to the bottom of the list here. New number 1 for now. Will it hang? Remains to be seen. Virtual Boy Wario Land.
I know you're not a fan of platformers. I think that is very solid. On this library in general, it's a very solid game. I would put that in my top 4 at the very least.
Is it your number 1? It's above
Mario Clash, absolutely. I don't know if it's damn close. If it's not number 1, it's damn close.
You would put it above Vertical Force?
I think I would put it above Vertical Force, yeah.
Okay, then we just have to decide whether it's number 1
that might
or
be
number 2.
Number 1. Now I'm really thinking about it. It is a little lacking for in the wider scope of Wario games, but as far as more games go, that is a game-ass game, and that is a decent game too. It is a fine-ass game.
I think it's the most fully featured thing. I think it is the most substantive offering on the Virtual Boy by significant margin.
I think I could actually honestly see that being my number 1 in general. Is it above Innsmouth no Yakata though?
Definitely not to me, but I'm also very biased. I would make arguments because, again, it's for as much as I talk about being the platform hater, hey, I know I will say it again during this episode. Like, I enjoyed Wario Land 2 on Game Boy. I brought that up during the segment, and I know this came out before it, and you can raise that point, but I would still say that, you know, in terms of realizing the potential of a Wario platformer, this game does nothing to forward that agenda. It is a diversion. It is a tangent. It is a failed attempt to leverage the foreground-background element to gameplay, which I don't think adds anything meaningful to Wario Land.
That's also, all of that could be said of the Virtual Boy as a whole. So it is, they were made for each other.
Sure. But at the same time, I
don't know, I have to grade it on the curve of these games are on Virtual Boy, right? Like, I can't look at them and say, like, but what if it was something on the Virtual Boy? Because we're not looking at things that weren't on the Virtual Boy. We're looking at things on the Virtual Boy. So
okay, then I think the thing you need to factor in, if we're, you know, if none of these games need to exist, which we've agreed, none of these games need to exist, because the Virtual Boy doesn't need to exist. So this entire list is like an exercise in pointlessness. But I think, like, the best thing we could say about a game that is on the Virtual Boy isn't whether, like, it needs to be on the Virtual Boy or not, but how it's being on the Virtual Boy creates an experience that is unique. In terms of immersion, and in terms of, like, perspective, and in terms of, like, putting yourself into that void to play nothing but this game, to have nothing but this game in your periphery. And what does a platformer benefit from doing that?
That's part of it, but also there's, to an extent, there's also, like, but if a game's like fun, then the game is that, then fun does sort of override, like, a lot of other things.
Sure, I you know, and my problem is I'm always going to say that, you know, Innsmouth no Yakata is, like, a more interesting game than some platformer, but
again, personally, it's my number one. If we said it was number two, below Innsmouth no Yakata, I wouldn't argue so much with that. I personally think that Wario Land is a more fun game. It would be my number one, but I do agree that Innsmouth no Yakata is at least more interesting academically. While still not being a bad game, I did like it.
I also just want to, a big part of this is that I don't want the audience to win. I don't want the audience to be happy in this segment. And I think a lot of people have been pulling for Virtual Boy Wario Land. A lot of people have defended Virtual Boy Wario Land as the best game on the console. And I just want to spite them. I just want to spite those Virtual Boy fans by not letting it have the top slots. Not you. You're an innocent bystander in this. You're honestly, like, you're collateral in this, in my war against the audience. I just don't want them to have it. I just need to deny them that top spot and put a first-person shooter up there.
All right, well, audience, you can know that I think Wario Land thus far is the best on the console, but that's not to speak ill of Innsmouth no Yakata. That is also very good. That is a very impressive game port.
Very good. I'm happy with that, as long as the audience isn't. Space Invaders Virtual Collection. Bottom of the fucking list. Okay. Is it worse than Red Alarm?
Well, okay. This is
the most pointless video game to ever release for anything ever.
The only good part about this game, when we're looking at it as a game-ass game package, is playing the original Space Invader in 2D on this. Every add-on part of it, everything with the 3D, and all the parts of, like, the backgrounds and stuff, detract from this as a game. I'm wondering, I might honestly rather play Red Alarm than, like, the main package of the Space Invader thing. Like, there is one good part of it, and it is just playing Space Invader, and that is not. That's all right. That's only a small part of what this thing is.
I'm inclined to disagree.
Like, the reason you get it.
I think this is worse. Wait, hold on. Did you say that it was worse than Red Alarm or better than Red Alarm?
I would, as a whole package, I would put it below Red Alarm in terms of the.
Oh, so we do agree.
This thing.
Yeah. No, I think Red Alarm, for as bad as it is at least ambitious. At least it was trying and failing at something. Whereas Space Invaders has a bare minimum idea executed horrifically by adding this unnecessary component onto it that does not leverage the text successfully and makes the game worse to play, where the only value to it is having a version of Space Invaders, which, if you owned any other platform, if you owned a Game Boy, an NES, an Atari 2600, you had versions of Space Invaders for days. Maybe not arcade-perfect versions in some of those formats, but there were ways to play Space Invaders that did not require you to go out and get a fucking Virtual Boy. I'm putting this at the bottom. I think this is our new worst. I think
we'll see how that stands.
Criminal that this came out. Bad job, Taito. Now, Virtual Lab. Supposedly the worst for the Virtual Boy. I don't think it makes either of our bottom fives. I'm going to hazard a guess. Like, let me just start. Let me say this. It's definitely better than Space Invaders Virtual Collection, right? Because it's a unique game. It's an original game of a sort. It's better than Red Alarm because it's functional. It's better than Tellerboxer because it's functional. It's better than Jack Bros because it's functional. And this is even putting aside, like, it is, like, you know, for as basic as it should be, we admit that Virtual Lab has bad inputs, but you can still overcome those. You can still play the game in spite of those bad controls. Whereas
easier than we could with the bowling game, I would say.
Yeah, I would say better than Virtual League Baseball in terms of being playable.
I mean, I already know where I want to put it, but you continue.
So many of these games are just like nightmares. For me, and this is entirely sentimental, I think I'd put it at like number 2. But that's not fair. Yeah. That is my biases shining through.
In my point of view, if I'm trying to look at this just as, again, game-ass game, I would have be the new number 7. Because I think Panic Bomber is, you know, just more refined in terms of like how it
puzzle game
plays. But I still think Virtual Lab legitimately is like the bones of a good puzzle game. Like it has controls that are holding it back. But I do like it. I think it is a fine game. But I just think Panic Bomber, you know, pulls it off a little bit better. But I would rather play Virtual Lab over Space Squash. That's absolutely for sure.
I think this is fine. I think I can live with this. I think this is as fair as we can be without letting my bias completely get in the way of my objectivity. I think I would just, like, again, I'd rather play it than most of this crap. But
oh, and to be clear, like I've said before, I am going to be going back and playing more Virtual Lab, which is more than I can say about most of these games. Even a lot of the games that are above it on the list, I'm still going to go back and play Virtual Lab. But it does have flaws that are, you know, holding it back.
Apparent, yes.
Yeah.
So new number 7 is as nice as we can be. That's as good as I can do ya, Megumi-tan. All right. Waterworld.
Not the worst.
It isn't the worst.
Isn't the worst, but it is dull.
It's not good.
Plotting, not good.
It's better than Red Alarm.
Not as painful. Yeah, it's not as painful as a lot of things we played, or not as some things we played rather.
I think I'd put it below Jack Bros. Above Tellerboxer, below Jack Bros. I'm thinking
it has less soul than Jack Bros. That's for sure. It has less charm.
I'd say it's charmless outright. Besides the music, which I don't give a shit about. I'm sorry, folks. I don't give a fuck about video game music. You can impress upon me how, like, you know, how prog-inspired the soundtrack is. It's chiptune beep boop. I don't give a fuck.
I don't know. It would be good music for, like, a screen on a stream or something, right? It would be a good, like, interstitial music for something. Anyway.
No, on that note, no. I think Galactic Pinball, if you want to talk Virtual Boy games with good soundtracks, Galactic Pinball blows that out the fucking water.
Oh, that's better. Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah. Like,
I can see a place where that music... Anyway, whatever, that's not the point. I would put it, like, one above Jack Bros.
You're going to put it above Jack Bros?
Maybe.
I didn't even like Jack Bros at all, and I have no Shin Megami Tensei connection. I'm still willing to put Jack Bros above it. I'm still willing to do that.
I mean, again, like, that's the highest I could think of would be above Jack Bros, but Jack Bros does have the charm. It's got the charm that Waterworld doesn't, and like,
I think it's
Waterworld's
funny.
I would butt my head up more against Jack Bros to play it, and try to get better at than Waterworld. Like I have
That
no
sounds to me
incentive
like a
wanna
number
play
15.
Waterworld.
That sounds to me like we
Yeah,
put
so
it below
that's-
Jack Bros.
That's what I'm leading up to. I'm leading up to saying the highest I could conceivably think of would be one above Jack Bros. But if you really get down to it, like, no, actually, Jack Bros. Actually is, I think, something I'd rather play more than I would Waterworld.
All that being said, it is very funny that Flop Movie gets a tie-in for the biggest flop console of Nintendo's career. These two games definitely deserve each other. This is the fate that Waterworld, the franchise, the cross-media empire deserved, to sink to the bottom of this list into the bottom of the ocean, respectively.
Okay, so I know what I wanted to say in terms of why I was saying one above Jack Bros. It's because it was less difficult than Jack Bros. Jack Bros was like
Unreasonable.
hard ass about its difficulty, yeah. But it had something to it more than Waterworld has. Waterworld is just dull to the point where it's like it's dull but still hard and just like has no sauce. Like, is virtual fishing better than it? Yes, actually, yes, because I don't get frustrated virtual fishing the way I did at Waterworld.
Very good. New number 15. SD Gundam Dimension War.
That's my bottom of the list, honestly.
Your bottom of the list?
That's my pure bottom of the list at this moment. Because Space Invaders was bad. It was a bad imitation of it. It was bad to look at, but it was way more controllable and playable than the SD Gundam game was. And honestly, a bit more comprehensible in certain places in terms of like what was happening on the screen at any given time. Even with that noisy ass background and those weird angles, like you did not have the correct information you needed on the strategy screens for elevation. So like that's a failure right there. And then when you're in fights, like it's kind of hard to tell where your bullets are in relation to each other. It's hard to tell where you are in relation to each other. It was hard to tell what aspects of the game I was controlling sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. New bottom of the list. New number 19. Fuck you, SD Dimension Gundam War. Yeah, I think I do have enough hate in my heart for it that I can see to putting it below Space Invaders Virtual Collection. You on like listening to you hear to you say that. Yeah, it really is just like absolutely unforgivably bad to an egregious extent that warrants its appearance here at the bottom of the list. There's something about this that's bothering me. I'm just gonna go with that. Yeah. That's probably the worst. That is probably the worst. It's probably as bad as it gets for the Virtual Boy. Hide that. Which brings us to the Virtual Bowling, which is going to be unremarkable, right?
Yeah, I still rather play Virtual Fishing over it. So I was getting frustrated at how bad the input was, and you were getting used to it.
Yeah, I still have no love in my heart for it. I
clicked
still
for you.
think it plays badly.
Yeah, but
it's
it's still like just not a good version of bowling. And like I think that input delay, even if you can start to wrap your head around it, it doesn't need to be like that.
No,
like,
it certainly doesn't. Do you want to put it below Virtual Fishing or below Virtual League Baseball?
I really didn't like that baseball game either. Is the thing.
Yeah, no, neither did I.
Personally, I'd rather be playing a bowling game. Yeah, I would put it above baseball because I think it's still like if I was really hard up for a bowling game, like maybe I'd play more of it. I can't see myself wanting to play any more of Virtual League Baseball.
I think that's fair. I think we got it. I think that's our list for right now. So, from top to bottom, it is now time for the reading of the list. 20 games on the list so far. And they include number 1, Innsmouth no Yakata. Number 2, Virtual Boy Wario Land. Number 3, Vertical Force. Number 4, V Tetris. Number 5, Mario Clash. Number 6, Panic Bomber. Number 7, Virtual Lab. Number 8, Space Squash. Number 9, Mario's Tennis. Number 10, Galactic Pinball. Number 11, Golf. Number 12, Virtual Fishing. Number 13, Virtual Bowling. Number 14, Virtual League Baseball. Number 15, Jack Bros. Number 16, Waterworld. Number 17, Tellero Boxer. Number 18, Red Alarm. Number 19, Space Invaders Virtual Collection. And number 20, at the bottom of our list, SD Gundam Dimension War. What a horrible system. Just, I know we keep coming back to it. What a pointless, stupid waste of time and money and everyone's efforts and labors. Just, fuck.
And now you can play it on the Switch. Just shell out $100 for the casing, $50 a year for the subscription, and you too can play half of this library.
There's a reason why Nintendo waited so long before they made this stuff available, and it was out of fucking shame. And then they remembered, oh wait, we're Nintendo. We're shameless. Let's put it out. Well, with that, we wrap up our show. Folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of this Virtual Insanity, our Virtual Boy retrospective. This was the penultimate episode. In our next episode, we will finish out the library by covering the 2 releases seen in the year 1996, which will conclude the Virtual Boy's official library. We will play some prototypes for games the likes of which include Bound High, Nico-chan Battle, and Virtual League Baseball 2. We will sample some homebrew, which will probably not make the ranking list by its nature. And we will send off this rotten console into the red hell it deserves. We will wrap up this series. It's nice to have a brief one. It's nice to have, after Curse Kart Racers, one that has a bit of fucking brevity going for it. Man. This was the episode that was going to have the best games. I can tell you, the straight up, those last 2 games that released officially for it in 1996. One of them is 3D Tetris, one of the worst atrocities ever committed by humankind. So that's, not good. One of those prototypes, I will grant that Faceball Virtual Boy, also known as Nico-chan Battle, is a pretty good one. But, it never came out. They denied the audience a chance to play, a decent FPS. I mean, we had Innsmouth, but, compared to... It just blows Innsmouth out of the water. Spoiler alerts. So definitely tune into that next episode as we finish this out. Share our conclusions. Do we think the Virtual Boy was a good console after all at the end of the next episode? I guess we'll have to tune in and find out, huh? I just feel so defeated. It feels so empty. It just feels like everyone involved in the production of the Virtual Boy and its games contributed to absolute nothingness in history. A saga, an era, a system that did not need to exist, and putting out games that did not need to exist. What a fruitless endeavor. But hey, it makes for good content, right? Supposedly, theoretically, if you've tuned in, if you stuck around this long, we hope that it is made for compelling content at the very least. We thank you for tuning in. We hope you'll tune into future episodes of our show, which, if we go to our stream schedule, include a casual Monday, this coming Monday. Every Monday is a casual Monday here in the Bad Game Hall of Fame, the show where we play not-so-bad games, shoot the shit, talk about headlines in the news, and generally get up to a fun time. It is the antidote, the remedy, the antithesis to this Virtual Boy, this descent into hell that we have. So please consider checking that out live or catching the VODs on our Patreon, where they live, nearing 150 hours of exclusive content on there, primarily by way of Casual Mondays. Tuesday, March 24th, no idea. It's always something on the Bad Game Hall of Fame. We'll come up with something, some programming to fill that time slot. Thursday, March 26th, should, with any luck at all, and I apologize for delaying it, see the start of our latest patron-voted playthrough for Colossal Cave, the 2023 remake of Colossal Cave Adventure. It'll have a history section attached, one for the ages, one might say. So please to tune into that one. There's a lot to be said, a lot of enemies to make, a lot of bridges to burn with that one. You can join us on Saturday, March 28th for an episode of Bad Game Chance Time, our monthly Bad Game Chance Time episode, where fate determines what games we play. What games we play may be, in fact, bad ones, as per the rules of the Bad Game Chance Time format. Always a bad time had by us, but a good time had by the audience, so please consider tuning into that. And if you are waiting for the next and final episode of Virtual Insanity, well, we will bring that to you on... you have it penciled in as April 4th. No, you have something else penciled in for April 4th right now.
Yes.
So are we putting this off for April 11th?
That's correct. I have some people I had to schedule in on that date specifically. So April 11th will be the last Virtual Insanity.
Okay, so that's a little more than 2 weeks.
Yes.
So it'll be 3 weeks from now that we will bring this series to an end.
Unfortunately, that 1 week off kind of threw off, the timing on
Yes,
stuff.
it did. But it will be done sometime in April. That'll do it for the stream schedule. So it's here where I'll say, folks, if you like what you saw here tonight, you might consider joining our Discord community, discord.gg/BGHOF, the game room, a community of connoisseurs, talk good games, bad games, every game between, things that aren't video games. Or join our Bad Game Club, where the game of the month for the month of March has been Castlevania for the N64. Folk playing it, commiserating over it, sharing their experiences with it, sharing strategies, hot tips and tricks for how to play Castlevania on the N64. So consider joining in on those festivities. And if that doesn't necessarily interest you, that choice of game, just stick around for April. We'll have a new game every month, a new game for the Bad Game Club. That is our promise. And plenty of other conversations, hangouts, all the things you expect from a Discord, right? If you really like what you saw here tonight, though, you might consider financially supporting the show. Subscribing on Twitch, pledging on Patreon, becoming a member on YouTube, any or all of the above will grant you access on that Discord server to a Patreon Saints channel, an exclusive channel for our financial supporters, where you can vote in polls to determine our playthroughs, make suggestions to help steer the direction of the show, gain access to exclusive content, primarily by way of VODs, but we're working on other offerings, and also be shouted out, recognized, appreciated by us for your support of this goofy Bad Game Hall of Fame enterprise that we put on for the benefit of all y'all. And we do thank folk who see fit to contribute to keeping the lights on here at the Bad Game Hall of Fame. But if you can't financially support us, we completely understand. If you're still looking for a way to help the show out that does not cost you any money, you might consider going over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@BadGameHallOfFame, where we have our VOD archives up. In particular, there is a playlist called the Suggested Viewing Playlist, one of the first things you see when you go to our channel. And on that playlist are 20 handpicked episodes that we think make for some of the best onboarding onto the show of ours that are fit for sharing with folk who you think might go for 3 to 4 hour video game stream archives, who want to see cavalcades of bad games played by our panel. Or maybe someone who's a big fan of SD Gundam, who's long been curious about the Virtual Boy Gundam game. And we're here to tell him it's not worth your time, not worth your effort, nerd. Maybe you can send this episode to them. Who's to say? We leave it to your discretion, dear viewer. And that will do it for the post-show plugs. I'm going to take a quick gander at something on the side of my screen. Well, Slow Beef is playing Snake's Revenge. And we mentioned them earlier in the show. So it's only fair that we shout them out here at the end, send folk their way for a particularly bad Metal Gear game, which I believe Metal Gear also came up in the show at some point. Anyway, we're going to send a raid their way. Let them know the Bad Game Hall of Fame sent you. And thank you again, all of you, for tuning in to this episode of Virtual Insanity. I have been SD Cassidy.
And I've been streaming from Charky no Yakata.
Very good. Hope to see you again, folks. See you on the next one. And until next time, bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.